All righty. I think we're live. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We have already gone over all of the news. If you have not heard by now, China has retaliated, and that's why we kind of had the reaction. You were down more on the futures, and then all of a sudden, everybody is talking about something with the bond market. Not only is it not being a safe haven, but there's this thing called the basis trade, which some people are getting worried about, but there's a huge bond auction at 10 a.m. today. All you have to do is make sure it doesn't fail. So yeah, isn't that crazy? You might actually get a situation where a bond auction fails. I don't know the last time you saw that, but that's a very big deal. I hope you guys are ready for it, but we got 2 minutes, man. Post the plays. Post the plays. Woo! All right, yeah, so I have a couple. I'm just going to be watching Apple, Boeing, bonds, and gold. That's literally it. Yeah, and then again, that 10-year auction I think is going to be very, very important. Walmart CFO is talking guidance right now, so there it is. But Chattadonia, good luck. We got 2 minutes. Post your plays. I need to go pee. I need to go to the bathroom ASAP, bro. ASAP. I don't have any propaganda. Oh, no, where's my propaganda? Oh, where is propaganda? Come on, propaganda TV. Oh, yeah, so I'll just tell you guys the tinfoil now. Are you ready for this? Why did China only hit us with 87%? I think Trump knew what was happening, or Besant. And what I mean by that is you realize they only responded to the first set of raises. Do you understand what I'm saying? So remember, Trump raised it to the 80 or the 50%, remember? And then the next day he said, I'm doing 100. They only responded to the first part of it. So they did not go up as much as we did, pretty much.
Welcome back. Of course, we've been talking about how any number
All right, I'm going to go bathroom, post plays. You got 1 minute, baby. Let's go.
Costs are going to be
Good
if they
morning.
can. And certainly, if you're in the automobile industry and you're Ford, it's got to be a very difficult path right now for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at rates, by the way, 4.37 on the 10-year. Okay, so there's a piece out this morning which really captures the zeitgeist of manufacturing. Ford, and it's Bernstein, and they're going to a sell, and they're talking about tariffs. They're talking about decline. Obviously, we're going to be talking about a recession and how they do in a recession. And what it basically says is, wow, you know what? I know why this stock sells at 4 times earnings. And it's a value trap, and I think it's the most unfortunate because Ford makes the 150 here. It's a great product. They do assemble. We were all told. Major companies like Ford were told to do some assembling here. Ford played by the rules, and because they play by the rules, they're going to be shredded. And I think there's a notion of,
all right, baby, 30 seconds.
And that maybe
call out the plays. If you need any help, you let me know, and let's have a good day, baby. Let's have a good day. Again, Walmart CFOs, that's causing a lot of moves right now. But get ready. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bing! Round 1. Fight. All right, so do you guys realize bonds have already moved 1.5% pre-market? So give it a little bit because that's going to mess up some of those plays there. But not too bad. All right, apples came down. Ooh, those other ones came up. Gold is already ripping. I forgot about that. And then if we could get a good Wally World, I don't know if you're going to be able to hit those. The Tysons are up 100% on the bid. So I'm going to make those free. All right, I made Tyson free at 100%. We'll run with that. Well, I think it sucks. I wanted a TLT right off the morning, but I think you got to wait a little bit. It literally just moved 2% off the bottom. So make no mistake, in the last 30 minutes, bonds have moved a shit ton. And then I put it on the stream alerts thing. Pretty much bonds are going to do their own thing up until 10 a.m. So just get ready for that, because whatever you see by 10, that could potentially change. That auction is going to be huge. All right, and then you're at 49.63. SPY's only down by 0.3. Do you guys realize from an hour ago till now, you are literally up about 3% on the NASDAQ? So, yeah, that was actually a pretty big move. Okay, there's gold. Again, your Tysons are up. All right. Oh, that's weird. Those didn't move at all. All right, I'm looking at Walmart and J&J. Those are value plays. Walmart has good news. J&J has bad news. Ooh. Those are kind of shitty. Bull trap again? I don't know, man. Remember, we were down 2%, 3% in the morning. So, again, you are reacting to China retaliation. But, again, they were just talking about QE and panicking on the bonds, and then this thing just shot up. So, unfortunately, I mean, the last hour, literally the last hour, there has been a big gap between, the market right now and where it was just at. Like, literally, I'm talking 2.5%. Even the bonds moved 2%. So, yeah, that kind of right ahead of cash opens a little weird. And then XXII, I still have that one up. Citi, don't forget about the bank earnings. Tesla's up. Tesla's up 2.5. And then NVIDIA's up 2. Apple. All right. So the Apple near the money's worked. But, again, those out of the money's got clobbered. Oh, the other calls went up. And then Trump, be cool. Everything is going to work out well. The USA will be bigger and better than ever before. This is Trump comments right now. He said, be cool. He literally, quote, be cool, exclamation mark. Everything is going to work out well. I told you guys that in the morning. I said, as a therapist, I said, hey, guys, you guys will be okay. It's not your fault. Don't worry. Mm-hmm. Alrighty. Yeah, those Apple puts got squashed, but I'm glad the calls went up. And then watch some of the earnings plays. Those Boeings done. That's crazy, man. Oh, actually, one of the Boeings is up. I think that's just the bid. The one from yesterday. That's up 300% on the bid. Make that free. A lot of staples. If you haven't seen it, I'm watching J&J. That one's hard, but yeah, if you haven't seen the staples, like literally, we were talking about those. We even made a couple of both-way plays, but you guys remember it went from we would go down and then things would go up on staples, but now the last week, once everything got flushed, you had no safe haven, no nothing. U.S. will take back Canal from Chinese influence. Morning range define. Microsoft's moving. I think it's like 100-point range. Just remember the 5,100, or pretty much if you hold above 5,000, it leads into 5,100, maybe even 52. And then if we do go down, we're looking at 4,800, 4,835. Yeah, gold is up. Again, old gold plays came back. I had old gold that I bought on one of the other dips, and then it kept going lower, and that got clapped, but now it's up. Because, again, bonds are broken. What the fuck else are you going to... You can't go anywhere now. That's kind of the idea, but now that some of the liquidation's cooling down, those gold plays are moving. And then SPY holding. did that one. Okay, watch bank stocks too. Again, you have earnings. SPY still dancing around. Again, you have recovered 3% pre-market just to have this somewhat stable cash open. So we will see. Okay, other Apple plays are moving. The puts are stabilizing a little bit. Nice. All right. Run it. Run it. Oh, J&J. The J&Js are hard. Old Apple calls are already up. So some Apple calls are higher than yesterday. That's crazy. I think it's still down. I guess no, they're up 1.7, but yeah, it's still lower than where it was at. And then watch bonds here. I haven't made another move on that one. I think we got to let it, again, it's moved that weird pre-market, bro. I don't like that. So you just moved a shit ton between pre-market and now. Trump straight pumping DJT on truth. Trump says this is a great time to buy. That's literally what Trump says. Do we listen to him or no? I don't know. I don't know what to do. Is it a good time? I guess you either stick to a plan or wait to a pivot. The Bank of America puts were up, but not as much. So just wait. Like again, that morning move now, I think it's adding a little bit of tension. Keep that in mind. Well, that's what they said. They said Donald Trump is losing popularity with tech bros and stock market influencers. Nobody asked me, though, but that's okay. But, yeah, apparently the stock market route is causing that big pop. So, again, Trump says great time to buy, and now we're kind of running. But hold on, see if anything else moves. That's literally 30 points. That's not small. Damn, oil's at 57? You guys are insane. That's nuts. 57 oil! I know, I'm a therapist. I'm not a stock market influencer. I did have a watch list last night, but it was members only. So it gave you time to watch if you're still behind. That was big, yeah. And then again, energy falls as China retaliation. SPY running, bro. So now you're green by 1%. I'm telling you, that pre-market move messed it all up. Because this is so like, I'm surprised you're up this much, but then it's tiny. But then it's like, wait a minute. Like 30 minutes ago, you were down 3%. So cash open, I mean, let me put it this way. Euro close might have a bigger shift. I would not be surprised if we ended up seeing that. So, because this right now is just very, cash open is completely different. But then again, too, like we talked about yesterday, there might just be a breaking point price-wise where everybody's like, all right, enough of it. DJT moving up. Again, apparently Donald Trump was pumping it. And then Walmart, again, they're up 3. They have good news. It's like one of the only staples, but staples are running. So be on lookout for that. I mean, right now, what's your problem? You're getting things moving. You're watching stuff, right? The problem is the follow-through. That's it. So if we start moving up, even though we were just down 3%, the problem is whatever happens, is it going to last by 10 a.m.? Yeah, nothing is real. I mean, well, you actually know something did change. You got more escalation. It wasn't as aggressive, but you got more escalation out of China, and then that's it. Walmart CFO, general merchandise has been softer in quarter, has improved as the quarter progressed. Meta on the high. Again, there's SPY. High ticker's very active. Okay, Vietnam plays are moving. ONON, Nike, Lulu, all of those, yeah. Okay, there's Boeing. I made that other play free yesterday, so hopefully you do something. All Apple plays are running. So that put that we had yesterday, the one I wanted to hold, should have sold it, but the calls that I balanced it with, those are now doing good, and then the old ones came up. And then gold, too. Make no mistake, gold is up 3 right now. And then SPY is ripping. Yeah, UVX, damn, it's still mad high though. If VIX falls below 40, let's look at it. But I think it's too high to make a play on it now. I mean, after watching yesterday's crazy move. Again, Nvidia is moving up as well. I think it was a small retaliation from China. I think it's big by the numbers, but remember, Donald Trump double hit them. They only responded equivalent to the first hit. So Trump raised it by 30, they raised it by 30, but then Trump raised it by 80, technically. And then now they're still at the 30. The VIX, I mean, because they're probably lowering the bid. That's what happened to me yesterday. They kept the ask up and then they destroyed the bid. But then all of a sudden the play came back when we had the flip. So that's what you got to be careful on these out of the monies, especially on like a VIX. They're probably going to, that bid could just disappear at any moment. All right, TLT trying to move. Nah, TLT, it would have been great if it just stayed here. I don't like this, though, because now it's hard to tell, but technically it is negative. I would say let's give it another, what time? Give it another 15 minutes, and then we'll see where we're at with it. But then again, 10 a.m., you better hope we don't fail a bond auction. Okay, Apple's still climbing. Vero, didn't we see that the other day? That was a popper, I swear. Yeah. Oh, no. That was last night. That was the earnings, but that's moving up. Boeing on the high. No, the feds can't bid the bonds. No. What will happen is the dealers, the banks will take it all. So pretty much like, I think if the dealers take over 60% of the auction, although that wouldn't be a failure, that would technically be a failure, if that makes any sense. So like, theoretically, if nobody shows up, that's a failure. But if you end up having the bond dealers, the guys organizing this, if they have to take over 60% of the supply, some metrics you could consider that a failure. Okay, 44. Not bad. $1 million top of book. Yeah, it's crazy. So if you don't know what that means too, it's because it's weird. Because market volumes are hitting all-time highs, but liquidity is low. That doesn't make sense to a lot of people, but this whole like 1 million on the top book of ES liquidity, the futures, that means that you could move the SPY 1 point with $1 million. That's essentially how much it'll take. So the other day it was at 1.5. That means you needed $1.5 million to move this SPY in 1 point either direction. Now it's 1 million. That's how illiquid it is right now on the futures. China flipping. All right, kind of leveling out a little bit. Let's see. Gold even chill. Procter Gamble. Well, hello, old friend. Why are the spreads so jacked on everything, bruh? Yeah. And then skew finally moved up, so be careful. That's both good and bad. Because that means some of the out of the money's hit, but then at the same time, those out the monies are crazy. TLT puts are jacked. Yeah, I mean, again, you guys, the bonds are huge now. This is very important. I don't know if you realize it. It's not really as much about what's the play. I hope you guys realize, like, the bond market might be blowing up right in front of your face. When was the last time you've ever seen death candles like this on TLT? So that's what people are getting worried about now. Now, we were a little early, and I was telling you a couple of days, I was like, dude, somebody blow up, bro. Like, this is crazy. But now people are starting to get a little bit more worried. That's why this auction is key. And then whatever happens next, I mean, there is a very large amount of doubt, and like this just does not occur too often. So at some point though, I would say this is becoming one of the primary concern, because eventually we're going to stop asking tariff this, tariff that, and say does our bond market work? Nobody. Some people got liquidated on gold. Technically, there is no evidence right now of a bond blowout. That's what they're saying, or the basis trade. But again, people are talking about it now a lot more since the last 24, 48 hours. But technically, no. Apple put way to call it the play, baby. Good luck. Everything kind of flipping there. You're back down to negative on the SPY. NASDAQ still up 0.5%. All right. Yeah, that was this morning. Sub because everyone's fixated on equities while bonds are going crazy. I'm the only one who is paying attention. I'll be fair. There's a lot of people. I don't know if they're on YouTube, but like the finance nerds, you've never seen anything like this in our lives, man. I'm telling you, it's absolutely wild. But I appreciate that, and we love the bonds. I think the bonds are good, but this is just getting concerning. Like I said, just a couple days ago when we first noticed it, I was just saying, I was like, dude, I think someone blew up. And then, like we've been talking about, man, the way this is playing out, just like, quite frankly, no one's ever seen this, bro. I can't remember. Most people, even old guys, are going on TV. No one remembers the last time everything sold off. And I mean that you don't have a bond safe haven where you're getting this amount of like stock volatility, bond volatility, but then it's just like, what do you mean you're getting a blowout and there's no liquidity? So very odd. But again, any other time this happened, there was a lot of bad things going on. And again, the last time we had a move, even on the SPY, you already had rate cuts, but every day, let me just put it this way. Yesterday, you saw how everybody was talking about it. Now more people are talking about it, and now you're hearing QE. Just keep this in mind. Every day, this keeps going down from here. You're going to watch the rhetoric start to advance rapidly. Because like I'm telling you guys, this is your problem. Nothing else matters now. But if that breaks, and it already is kind of breaking, we'll see. And that's why today, 10 a.m. my time, 1 p.m. for the bond auction, that is going to be huge. Because if that fails, if people are already worried, that's another thing. But let me ask you this. What happens if the bond auction is good? Then it's going to confuse everybody even more. But just keep in mind, though, it's like that is the important part. Whichever way it goes, just you should watch that plumbing and just see what it is doing. None of this is normal. Something kind of happened like this in 2010 or 2011, but nothing like this. That's what I'm saying. We've had many moments in the last decade or two where you've seen some stuff like this, but nothing like this. I can't describe it, where it's like, again, '08, you saw flips, but there was news and there was other things. But like I'm telling you, man, in 3 days, we just watched a 15% sell-off. I was up 10% on the year to negative in 3 days. That's okay. I'm just saying, usually bonds react. Nobody's ever seen dollar down, stocks down, bonds down, and gold down, all on the same mass sell-off day. That was even during COVID. COVID, you at least had something start to get that, but it's just like that. That's a very unique thing. That's why I started telling you guys right away. And I know some people want the play, and it's play, but I'm just like, I get it, but just I don't know where this is going to end because no one's ever seen this, bro. But this is big. So, yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see, but it's getting talked about more. That's it. Just in the last 24 hours, though, the fear is spread massively, because you got to think about it. In the next step, that's it. Everyone could throw out their ideas. It doesn't matter if it keeps breaking. The Fed has to do something, and that's where people are going to start. People are already talking about that, so we'll find out. Yeah, Nvidia and Amazon, even Apple too. There is. I'm waiting. We want TLT premiums to die. That's your problem right now. You want TLT to die on the premium so that we could get a good play ahead of the auction. But if the premiums and the break-evens are insane ahead of the auction, be careful. Is my voice okay? No, I had to re-explain the bonds 1,000 times. So it gets, you know what I'm saying? It's good, though. Today, though, all you guys needed the news to tell you that there was going to be a basis blowout, and now people are more accepting. I think I think now you guys are kind of like, oh. All right, watch. I'm waiting for that. Yeah. Added more. Yeah, but I was going to grab some, but then that fucking move. Dude, TLT was down 3. That's why I'm saying whatever you're seeing now, sadly, the range on bonds is nasty today. That's what you got to be careful of. Oh, Pepe. Welcome, my friend. I know TLT was getting blown out last night. But that's why I'm saying, though, like I don't know if you guys even noticed the shift in the last 24 hours. From last night to today, I sounded a little crazier to now I sound a little normaler, if that makes any sense. Because that reaction last night flipped people out. Now, like I'm telling you, every day this keeps happening, you could have all your ideas, but if you just keep going at this rate, eventually it's going to go from, yeah, we're confident in this plan, no, hold on, this is not normal. Like I said, there's many reasons right now, and I wouldn't get caught up in that. Like I was telling you, we're not going to figure that out. You don't need to. It's not going to help you. What you need to focus on, and what you, like I'm saying, I would feel like a fool if I look back and I wasn't paying attention to this. All I'm telling you, this is some of the, whether it's apparent or concealed, this is some of the biggest bond volatility I've ever seen in my life. Most people. And that's where I'm like, that's your opportunity, both short term and the midterm, and then we'll see where it leads us. But now I do think that is playing out more and more. And again, I think the grand finale is going to probably revolve around this somehow. All right, you're back near 501. Remember, this is a big level, 5,000. That's why I'm like, this sucks. You go below, and like we talked about, there's some people who are going to start dip buying here. What is this? Amazon seeks partner for $15 billion warehouse expansion plan. Does that sound like good news to you? Is that in the U.S.? Why are they spending money? But yeah, Amazon, $15 billion warehouse plan. I already have Amazon up there. All right, gold. That one's still up. Where's that other one? It's not going to hit. Is China dumping? We don't know. That's what I'm saying. A lot of them, I would just say what you know is that the bond market is looking like it's breaking. That's what we know. That's it. Why it's breaking, I have no idea. There could be many reasons. But I do know that the signs of cracking are now materializing in many ways. And that's what we do know. We know that none of this is not a typical move. We know this is not normal. What is this? China issues risk alert for tourists traveling to U.S. Culture Ministry. You put the hedge fund basis trade. I put all of it. That's why I'm saying, just I don't know why everybody's rushed to an answer and trying to like figure it out, but I think all of these factors you guys are mentioning apply. But we still don't know, but that's not important now. What's important is the bond function and the market reacting as it should and the bonds kind of responding a little bit more, but now the message being sent, it looked like it was accurately predicting stagflation, but now what is it saying? After another 3% blowout, it's saying 5%? Doesn't make sense. And then it went from people are like, oh yeah, no, the bonds no, to now wait, the bonds are literally not working. Again, it's seizing up. That's just the plumbing of the money system. So imagine, your pipeline of money, it all starts with bonds. That's getting clogged up right now. Something is not working there, and that's what gets worrisome because now that could lead into a bunch of other things. So like I'm saying, you guys are like, it's China, it's this. I don't care what's going in the pipe. I'm just telling you, no, it's not working. And that's, it doesn't matter what's blocking it. What matters is that if you don't get that thing working, you're going to have a bigger problem. Yeah, this auction needs to go well or it can't be bad. That's it. Now everybody's paranoid. Everybody realizes it to a degree. I don't think they realize the full extent, myself included. But now, as long as that auction's not terrible, then we'll be fine. At least you'll buy yourself another day. But if it's bad, that's it. That's going to add, I think TLT can move 3%. It was already down 3%. Wholesale inventories, Tesla pop 0.3 versus 0.4. That's coming out now. 2.4 on wholesale trade sales? What? Okay, well, data just ripped. Literally month over month wholesale trade, 2.4. Estimate was 0.8. And inventory declined. I don't know how. I know how. It's all delayed, but just like when during Biden, but yeah, man, no fucking connection to what we're doing right now. All right, you're ripping off of that. That could eliminate some of the fear. I think you're getting a literal reaction to that, but be careful. Again, market is in tantrum mode. Why am I so surprised? Because market does not like to respond to good news in the last month. So that's good news in terms of good data, but it eases the whole recession fear. But it's very weird where we're being so jumpy on that data. But yeah, literally wholesale inventories went down, and then actual wholesale sales went up. They tripled the estimate. So yeah, now you're popping a couple of individual stocks, again, that deal with the market or consumers They're going up. New member. Long term at 50, baby. Let's go, baby. I hope all of this gives you some great entries. Could be the tariff front run, like, economically, but keep in mind the market's just a bunch of crackheads, just like yesterday. The market is picking and choosing what it wants to respond to. So you all are like, oh, that's the front run. It's not stopping the market, so let's see what... I think by Euro close, we might get a flip. Or just be on the lookout for that, or just like I'm saying, market is choosing to respond to this, but then the littlest thing might take it out. But for now, that is good data. It's not as fearful as what we've seen, but I don't know how embedded in reality that is right now, or again, how much follow through you'll get off of it. But for now, it's doing good. Gold is still up. On your long-term crypto or start a long-term? It's up to you, man. I'm not. What do you mean? Amazon, again, every retail play just went shit, like they're running off of that data. So it's good for now. SPY's not doing it as much, but you're actually breaking out. But like Amazon, Tesla, Walmart. Walmart's up a fucking dollar off that. Then there is Apple. Yeah, you guys are saying the DJT thing on Truth. I haven't checked. I will check now. Okay, bond's coming back down. Dano, this is a great time to buy DJT. That's literally the tweet. Or the truth. It literally says it's a great time to buy. Exclamation, exclamation, exclamation. And then just DJT. That's it. Well, dude, I mean, let me remind you this. Do you guys remember March of 2022? That's what this feels like. And that's why I'm saying, because it's like you're going through it takes time as well as getting slashed, if that makes any sense. So just like I'm saying, right now, the tide is already swung. You're going to just deal with, just wait till you start getting pretty much the random ass pops and locks. We haven't done this yet. Do you see what I'm saying? So we're still at this part right now. That's the shitty part. So just be patient. But like I'm saying, you better lock in, get mentally prepared. I gave you that warning 10% higher. It's crazy how fast it came down. But at the end of the day, I still, we haven't even done get really excited, get almost back to highs, and then sell it off yet. And then now everybody got to work this through until, like we're saying, you either need a pivot or you need a set price, very low, where everybody's like, okay, fuck it, it doesn't even matter anymore. That was at what? What was that? Remember that butterfly of what, 460 on the SPY? That might be the level again. Who knows? I mean, if the bonds don't recover, I would just start turning on the shot clock. That's it. That's like the low key. I told you there was a bomb. This might just be the detonator. sadly. So that's, if the bonds do blow out, that's it. Again, I don't think you could handle it. I've told you guys many times, I don't think the market could handle even 5.5 to a certain degree in a bad scenario. So now with this, I mean, if the yield just starts shooting up, I think that's going to detonate something eventually. I don't know when, but eventually. That's what even somebody, who was it? Was it Deutsche Bank? They put out that note this morning. They said, just at this point, it doesn't matter what we can or can't do. It's just if it gets bad enough, somebody has to step in. That's it, bro. You guys are just going through a crazy game of chicken right now. When it's all, again, it is very reminiscent of like 2018 December. That's the crazy part. All right, man. You just had two big candles, 502 to 498. Yeah, China's selling off too. You realize that's 4 points. Okay, no, I don't see anything. Canada currency's moving up. Mexico's down. Remember, we did have retaliation, but 5,000. You went to 5,016. See if we can't hit that again. But yeah, it's 10 a.m. right now. So let me get you a check. We've only been here for 30 minutes. Irish said he expects the Fed to step in as soon or backstop in some way if this continues. I agree. Only if it gets really bad. That's what I'm saying. Like, I hope you guys see the logical step of, like, that's why I'm saying both ways there's an opportunity, but essentially if TLT gets bad enough, the next logical step is somebody has to step in. But that's why I'm saying it just, like, genuinely becomes a worry if the bonds break. This is something people have said for a very long time. This isn't like that wild. Oh, Greer is live again? So here's the deal. Greer is a lot more important. We were listening to him last night, or yesterday, if you remember. But now Lutnick and Navarro, they're not playing a big role anymore in trade. It is Bessent and Greer. Germany, MERS, we need a common EU response to U.S.-China tariff policies. Whoa, was that Walmart? I don't know if that was real. Dude, pre-market low on TLT was 85. That's what I'm saying. Unfortunately, the cash open and then 30 minutes ahead of open, this fucked it all up. Somebody or whoever, computer, call it whatever you want, but that just, now you're like at the opening of the futures. Pete Hegseth is live.
Course of decline and dependence. Thank you for coming before the committee, and I look forward to hearing your testimony. I'm pleased to recognize the ranking member, Mr. Nill, for his opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I want to thank you, Ambassador, for being with us today.
We don't need to listen to opening statement. Just wait till he starts talking, and then we'll get it up there. All right, I think 500, though, you might get a lot of action around here. So pretty much whatever development we get today, good or bad, I think this 5,000 level is going to be critical. Just because, again, I was hearing people say that's the first buy the dip zone for some hedge funds. DJT running now. So Truth Social. Woo! Oh, where's Labu? Bios. We'll just watch because, like I'm saying, if it feels really good or if there's a good development, it's gonna run away from 5,000. But then if we can't get out of there and you get a bad update and it's around there, because like I'm saying, 5,000 just leads straight to 4,900. We start moving like 100, 200 points at these levels. It's either go to 52 or we're gonna go to 48. I still think there's China in store as well. Just in the sense, like I'm telling you, Donald Trump was very aggressive. But they doubled up the tariff, but they only respond to the first half of it. So there is still that other element to it that's kind of like, wait a minute. Okay, Apple's still going up. Less than 40 minutes into trading, the NASDAQ has rallied 1.9, sold off 1.3, rallied 1.6, and sold off 1.2. Responds to 208. Well, it all depends what China does with their currency as well, too. Because let me put it this way. This was a zero hedge tweet, but I think it's very accurate, even though it's a joke. Do you realize that if China keeps devaluing, you could raise the tariff all the way up to 1,000%? And I know some of you don't want to hear that right now because this is, you're like, what the fuck are you saying? What do you mean? But and bear with me, but that's like the whole point of like currency manipulation is that if I tariff you and then you lower your currency to offset the rate, you're back to where you started. That, again, these are one of our econ lessons. You know, this is why they call it sometimes even a race to the bottom. And then if tit for tat, if you start responding every single time, nothing changes. Do you guys get that? It's like a counter without putting on a tariff. So if I tariff you and then you weaken your currency so that let's say the tariff makes items 10% more expensive, and then you devalue your currency by 10%, we're right where we started. So now I raised it again to 20, and then, you do it again. And then if they devalue, it's the same thing. So theoretically, you could take this to whatever rate you want if they keep moving their currency. Remember, this was the lesson that we learned from Bretton Woods back in the day when we tried to create the system we have today, because we realized that if we want Japan and Germany and other people to do stuff, we need somebody to stay stable. But if no one stays stable, there's your problem. Nothing's changing. Yeah, bro, you're starting to flip 5,000 again. So be on watch. I wish the VIX was cheaper. VIX is still at 50. Oh! And the peach is here, baby. Oh, no. Oh. Okay. The market flushes with it. But you got Bradley Frizzle in the peach, baby. Let's go. Amen. Germany mayors. My message to Donald Trump is Germany will fulfill obligations on defense strength, its competitiveness. Peach Nation. It's weird. A couple things. Let me get you a checkup in honor of the peach, baby. So Dow Jones, are you ready? 14 green, 16 red. So Dow Jones 50-50. Dow Jones barely green right now. NASDAQ 100, 63 in the green, 38 in the red. So NASDAQ is up by 1% right now. 60% of it is in the green. And then the S&P 500, 175 in the green, 327 in the red. No, bond auction is not in 15 minutes. No. You're thinking of maybe the tips, but no, the big one we want is 10 a.m. Pacific. So yeah, SPY has the most names down. Tech is leading, and then Dow is 50-50. If we remove tariffs, aren't they left with bad inflation because they can't take it back? Kind of, unless they strengthen their currency again. But again, China might like that. Remember, China's going through deflation right now, so they kind of need it. That's the irony. Bro, gold's starting to break out now too. What's the long-term effect? We don't know. That's kind of what I've been trying to tell everybody, is that we could theorize, but until we know, again, where the tariff settles, the currency rates, and everybody else, I don't know. I cannot give you that answer right now because you could theorize and there's theory, but when you take it to the end without a lot of these critical details, we have no idea. There is a lot of negative effects. Well, any time. I mean, per the economic lessons, again, these are all free on the Trading Fraternity. I have a whole playlist where we go over this, but there's a benefit until there's not. So every country in the world, they manipulate their currency to a degree. It's actually good. It's not a bad thing because we're on a floated system. Again, I was explaining last night on the Watchlist how China, they're a managed float. They're floated, but they're fixed in a weird way. That's why they set a daily reference rate. So there is some negative effects. There's some positive effects. It just all depends on the level you do it. So, right, like if you start trying to strengthen or weaken your currency like a lot every day by a big amount, then it'll have a good effect and then start to have a negative effect and vice versa. And then ultimately it will lose its potency. Like rate cuts, like anything else. You can't, it's a tool, but you got to do it at the right time. And if you keep using it, it will lose its potency. So it just all depends, again, on the situation. But in theory, a little bit of strength, a little bit of weakness, a little bit of manipulation, nothing wrong with that. No problem. But if you start to hit it past a certain breaking point and then it makes it unsustainable, you could run it unsustainably. You're just going to be at an imbalance, but then eventually your imbalance will require a forced correction to correct that balance. Ta-da! Yeah, exactly. It's a rubber band. It's meant to stretch, but if you start stretching it too much, though, you can break it, and you don't want to make it too stretchy and weaken it. And then the more you keep stretching it, it'll just naturally just get weaker. So, great analogy. Amen. I just think 5,000 is the level, because 5,000 we shouldn't be here. People thought the Trump put was going to be 5,200, and then we go down 5% from there. So 5,000 is now, it's the borderline dip buy level for some people, and that's why it's going to be very critical, because it's below the Powell put, it's below the Trump put, and now this is where people think, yeah, based on the forward PEs and everything that's came down, it's a decent time to start scaling, and that's why you'll start seeing it. But then again, you're in the middle of uncertainty still, and you don't know what this is going to lead to. But then again, there is people buying right now. Make no mistake. If you think this is that scary, like I'm telling you, there's people 5,000. They're going to start. They're not quitting yet, but they're going to start, buying a little here and there. So make no mistake that the bond market is scary right now, but there's people who still are taking advantage of what you see here. Because again, even then, you take the logical end to the bond market. If it blows up, that comes with the Fed saving it. So think about that as well too. But yeah, I think 5,000 is going to be critical. India trade minister to CNN, U.S. manufacturers have suffered from China's unfair trade practices. India linked to incentives for manufacture aimed at cutting dependence on China. Bro, India is pumping us right now. So India, that sounds like he's our friend right now. India commerce minister, trade minister, just called China's trade practices unfair and is saying that they benefit off of America delinking that. So see if you get a reaction, but again, you're in tantrum mode. Reactions will be weird, my friend. That's the trade minister. It's not Narendra Modi. I don't know if so that's the thing. At this point, Powell, even though I love Nick Timmerhouse. I love the guy, man. And thank you for all your work, Nick Timmerhouse. But I giggle when I see people tweet. They're like, well, Powell could not have a preemptive rate cut right now. I laugh because legitimately people will look at you straight dead in the eyes, come up with a logic and say, you can't touch the rates now, but you should do it 3 weeks ahead of an election. So I think it's cute, but a lot of people, they're fighting this whole Powell should cut. And I agree with them, because this is what you guys got to realize. Do you think that I believe in a rate cut? I think that's a dumb idea. I thought it was dumb ahead of the election. I think it's dumb now. The only difference is the bond market is literally breaking right in front of your eyes. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you see where my view is? Do you think I want a rate cut? Do you think I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good idea, cut rates. Oh yeah, that's exactly what we need right now, a rate cut. No, bro. The fuck? We didn't need it in September. Why the fuck would we need it now? The problem is that something is breaking right in front of us. So here's my idea. This is my thought. And I think somebody said this too. Again, Deutsche Bank. I don't think Powell's going to step in. Not how we think. I think if it gets really bad, he'll cut rates. China issues alerts for study abroad. Remember, they put out the other travel warning earlier, but VIX is moving. So think about it. I don't think he's going to step in the sense, unless it gets terrible, I don't think he's going to step in the sense of rate cuts, but he, just like Ira Jersey said, he's going to come in with some measure, if that makes sense. I think if it gets bad enough, Powell has to step in, offer a liquidity facility, or literally just start talking. He might jawbone and cave. You know why I say that? Because that's what he did in December of 2018. Powell played tough guy. Everybody played tough guy. And then it just got really bad where the bond market started breaking. And then come Christmas, right ahead of Christmas, Powell starts singing like a bird, bro. And he just flipped his whole attitude, and that saved everything. So that's what I could see happening, where it doesn't have to be a rate cut, but I could definitely see Powell, if it gets bad enough, coming in and being like, hey, man, maybe we do have rate cuts on the table and we are monitoring the situation and we will be there to provide liquidity. That's what I think could happen. But I don't know about everybody. Last thing, nobody wants a rate cut right now, and that's a very big ask. I think because if you get a rate cut, that's it. You're in a recession at this point. But I think he's going to try to step in, with QE, not a rate cut, more or less. He's going to step in with QE, but not your traditional QE. I think he's going to come in with any level of mental or jawboning or liquidity support in some area, because he has to. I don't say that as something that I like. I say that as, give me 5% down more on TLT, guys. You're going to need it. It's not, you cannot handle this this fast. And that's kind of the problem. Ta-da! No, he didn't do that. He tried to. Last FOMC, he gave you a bone with the whole end the QT, but he was just nice. But I mean, like, he's going to talk about liquidity facility, talk about the Fed being prepared to step in. He's going to offer you verbal commitment before anything. So you're right. Everybody right now is looking at the bonds and they're like, is he going to cut rates? Probably not. But I think it's going to be a verbal commitment rather than anything. And that will save everything to a degree, but then, and without cutting rates. But we'll see. I don't know. All I'm saying is, and again, I'm grateful that I don't look like a nut job, because I was just mad early. Just something's wrong with the bond market, you guys, and you should pay attention to that. And that's why I'm not going to let any of you, even if I look like a fool, even if I'm wrong here and there, I was not going to let any of y'all walk into that unaware of what the fuck is happening. So like I'm saying, the bond market is very big right now, and everybody is acknowledging it. Everybody knows it, and it's just like, if it gets to a certain point, we can't handle this. Powell has to commit, whether it's physical action or verbal commitment. We need something, but it's breaking out now at that point. I have not ate shit this morning. I've only had, I think, maybe 400 milligrams of caffeine on an empty stomach, and then a couple Bible verses, and a prayer, and a finger to the sky. And shout out to vets. No, his verbal commitment will save everything if he does it that, like I'm saying. If he just comes in and says, hey, we're not going to raise rates, or cut rates, but he's saying, we're monitoring, we have a facility, we'll do this, we'll be willing, and again, 2018, he came in. They brought in Munchkin. That didn't work. And then it kept dumping every day. And then eventually Powell steps in, has a speech, and is just like, yo, bro, we're here. I have your back. That's it. He just needs to commit verbally, and everybody will wipe the sweat off their brow. That will make TLT go up, but do you not get it? TLT has to die before that happens. That's what I'm saying. TLT is going to get bad enough now at this point because it's breaking. It's not working, you guys. Literally the bonds, and I said this on the watch list last night. This is why I think Larry Fink and all these guys, I think this is why they keep saying it, because they win no matter what. It's adding pressure there on the bonds, and now Powell has to do something. So, but yeah, it's eventually Powell either has to step in verbally or with a cut, and that will fix everything or help. But till then, you don't get there without breaking. And now we are literally one day every day, it's just one extra crack. So we'll see now who's going to say uncle. U.S. weighs farmer bailout as China retaliation threatens exports. Yeah, Greer says there's an opportunity for countries to cut tariffs. All right, I'm going to play him now. He's talking. So remember yesterday, we got headlines from him until Caroline Leavitt talked.
For all of us. But some of the suggestions have been clearly exaggerated. As we've gone forward, hyperbolic to be sure. We need to go back to what we did, Mr. Ambassador, with USMCA, with a real solid negotiation that led to a desirable outcome. With that, I yield back my time, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. The Trade Subcommittee Chairman, Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ambassador, for availing yourself here today on such important matters, and especially given the context, the broader context of timing. I think I don't have to tell you these are important issues, and I am grateful for your service and certainly your intent and desire to move our country forward in many ways. I would say there's no such thing as stagnation in trade. We're either gaining ground or we're losing ground. And I think over the last 4 years, we lost a lot of ground. And during President Trump's first term, though, we made astounding progress through the negotiation of USMCA, the China Phase 1 agreement, U.S.-Japan trade agreement. These efforts unlocked new markets, strengthened supply chains, and empowered cooperation with important partners. Over the last 4 years, however, the Biden administration's trade agenda veered from slow-walked complacency to non-binding frameworks. Let me be very clear. The world was watching then, as it is now, and it was watching as digital trade barriers, which disproportionately impact American companies, were built while USTR actively withdrew from digital trade negotiations at the WTO and in the Indo-Pacific. The world was also watching as a growing number of countries blocked market access for American agriculture with no scientific basis, and as the previous administration let negotiations with the UK and Kenya simply fade away. This was particularly concerning given Kenya stood to set an example for other AGOA beneficiaries which are capable of negotiating their own bilateral reciprocal agreements. Consumers, producers, manufacturers, service providers, and our partners expected more. I'm encouraged by the growing list of countries seeking trade negotiations with the United States, including the UK, India, Japan, and South Korea. I am encouraged to also have you as USTR leading these discussions. It's clear President Trump has the world's attention, and it is up to his negotiators to ensure any agreements reached tear down the barriers affecting America's farmers, ranchers, and workers. While I do not expect perfection in the short term, we must find common sense solutions which level the playing field for our exporters, ensuring they receive fair treatment we have offered foreign partners, often unreciprocated, for too long. Over the last few months, our Trade Subcommittee has clearly outlined its priorities for trade enforcement and negotiations, I might add in a bipartisan fashion, and I hope you will look to the subcommittee's work to inform your agenda moving forward. I expect strong collaboration between USTR and Congress to our trading relationships. During President Trump's first term, he teed up the agreements with the United Kingdom and Kenya. I am eager for these agreements to be brought to fruition. Ambassador Greer, could you elaborate on your engagement with these countries, Kenya and UK? How would you say you are ensuring our partners understand what progress is needed?
Thank you, Congressman. Over the past month, I've had a number of conversations with my counterpart in the United Kingdom. We've talked about non-tariff barriers in the UK. We've talked about ways to collaborate on technology. We've met frequently in person. We've had phone calls. We've had virtual meetings, and we've discussed how to move the relationship forward on an economic basis. I've certainly expressed my concern that the UK has barriers, especially in the ag space, that are very important for us. So that's been made clear to them. But those discussions are on a good footing. With Kenya, I also had my counterpart, the trade minister from Kenya, in town last week, and we sat down in my office and we had a good talk, and he said that he wanted to engage with the United States. He understands our concerns, but he also understands the need to move forward. It was a very fruitful conversation. I look forward to speaking with him again. He wants to work with us. They want to have some kind of agreement with us.
Okay, thank you. I want to say that USTR is a very lean, agile, and effective agency. Simultaneous negotiations with 50-plus countries would require significant bandwidth and expertise, as I'm sure you're aware. The chief IP negotiator, a role which has never been filled, and the chief ag negotiator are positions that Congress created in statute to ensure relevant issues important to the American people are addressed. When would you anticipate the President will nominate these positions, to fill these positions? And in the meantime, how is USTR responding to the influx of requests and prioritizing negotiations?
So, Congressman, we have a couple of my deputies who have already been announced, and they're doing their rounds on the Hill or about to. We have an ag negotiator and a second deputy who are pending announcements. We're very close on that, so we're happy about that. In the meantime, the nature of these negotiations, the other countries know what the trade barriers are that we're talking about, and we're moving very quickly. We're meeting every day with several trade ministers from other countries. The crack staff at USTR is working very hard as well to put together what would make sense in terms of near-term agreements with respect to the reciprocal trade.
Thank you. I think it's important to note that oftentimes, even if we have a trade agreement with a friendly country, for example, we still need to stay on top of these things, whether it's investor protections in Mexico or beef in Australia, with the expectation of a level playing field. So thank you again for being here. Look forward to the discussion.
Thank you.
Mr. Doggett.
Thank you, Ambassador. I have a number of yes-no answers, and if you feel you cannot answer them yes or no, just say you cannot, and I'll move on to the next question. The first of these, yes or no, the Trump tariffs will soon be levied on pharmaceuticals from abroad.
I'd like to discuss that in more detail with you, sir.
Oh, yeah, I was muted.
Is that
Yeah,
true or
premiums
not?
are lower.
The president, he wants to.
You got to think
he
about it.
wants to
Yesterday,
get,
your gap up was
manufacturing
4%.
production back here, and so he's
So
going to
today,
conduct an
it's only
investigation
1.
to see what's appropriate.
So it's moving slower. Some plays are more aggressive. Those Apple plays are really moving. But then we lost on the puts, but the calls are running.
Now what the extent of that is subject to an
yes,
investigation.
reclaiming my time. A simple question, Ambassador. Yes or no, do you agree with the President's senior Trump trade advisor, Peter Navarro, that higher tariffs are tax cuts?
Sir, I don't get involved in the tax discussions, but we know tariffs have a revenue effect for sure.
You think tariffs are tax cuts?
I think that tariffs are an imposition on foreign goods that can protect American workers and American products.
And again, yes or no, do you agree with senior trade advisor Peter Navarro that as Americans watch their savings erode and the stock market losses approaching $7 trillion, that what Americans need is patience?
I think we all need to work through this period as we try to reshore and get over the $1.2 trillion deficit that President Biden left us with.
Do you agree with Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick that we're not going to reverse course no matter how much the markets implode, and that these tariffs will be permanent?
Well, the President has directed that we're negotiating with willing partners, and that's where I'm keying my guidance from. You
just referenced the United Kingdom, and you have claimed that these trade deficits require these tariffs.
Hey, man, you had that 20-point move, but I don't know if it's enough.
Imports from close allies like the United Kingdom and Australia, even though we have a sizable trade surplus with each of those allies.
There's a global deficit, and those surpluses should probably be larger because of the barriers they have.
Again, sir, can you simply answer yes or no? Did we impose tariffs on allies with whom we have a trade surplus, not a trade deficit?
We impose tariffs on every country because it's a global problem.
So the answer is yes, even though you don't want to say it, apparently. Let me ask you also about experiences during the first Trump administration, because at that time there was discussion about the impact of the retaliatory tariffs from China on farmers. And as a result of that retaliation, there was a significant amount
This is Trade Ambassador Greer.
We know
so he's important. Just him and Bessent. These are the new trade leaders. So we listened to him yesterday. He caught some moves, but yeah.
For American soybeans, will American taxpayers be asked once again to finance welfare payments to farmers that lose foreign markets? Yes or no?
It's not clear yet whether that will be necessary.
Might have to and might not. Similarly, last time there were concerns about the selective nature and the exceptions that were made.
I'd be careful on TLT.
And it seems that those who hired
I was looking at the straddles, but bro,
lobby firms did
the
much
puts
better
are
on
insane.
exceptions. The whole
None of the puts have came
process
down.
was
I mean, the
criticized
stock's
by the
down.
Government
So that's what you got to watch
Accountability
out for.
Office. Can I be assured that if one of my businesses hires a Republican lobbyist and contributor who can get a table down at Mar-a-Lago, that they will not get an exception to these tariffs or an exclusion?
There are no exceptions or exclusions to this program for the president.
All right. You know, it's not one of my regular allies, but the National Taxpayers Union sent me a question yesterday, and I'll pose it to you as they did to me. They note that the United States has run trade deficits for 48 straight years, during which time the U.S. economy has grown by 255% in real terms, that these decades of trade deficits have corresponded with increases in American wealth and household incomes that far exceed the progress in Canada, China, and the European Union. Do you think that this growth in American
20 points
wealth
back down.
as a result associated with deficits is something that constitutes a national emergency?
Again, 5,000 at
Giant,
it's like
massive
4,996,
persistent trade deficit that
5,007.
Biden left us with is an
There's like a
emergency.
little
It's
bit
not
of a
like the small
range, but
deficits from the 60s.
yeah,
We
you've
get
been
auto
here for
workers here
all
making
the
production.
last hour,
We've
pretty
offshored
much.
all this stuff, Mr. Doggett, and we are really in an emergency situation, and we're not passing the
my
buck.
time, we seem to have done much better than in the Gilded Age, which the president prefers. I would just say that
House prices have been coming down, not as dramatic as the stock market, but I mean, once people lose their jobs, it will. Like I've told you for years.
Any assurance to believe anything other than that their prices will continue to soar and their savings will continue to shrink. The president's lies continue to cost the American people dearly. I yield back.
Mr. Kelly.
Thank you, Chairman. Ambassador, thanks for being here. There's a quote in the movie Tora, Tora, Tora from Admiral Yamamoto, and he says, "What I fear is that we have awakened a sleeping giant." Thank God we've looked around at what's happening in the world. Twice America has gone to world war to save the world. We did it in World War I, we did it in World War II, and after World War II, the people that we saved and some of the people that we fought against were absolutely devastated. They had no way to build themselves back up again. So what did America do? We opened our markets because we have always been the most generous people in the world, and we're always the first responder. No matter what happens anywhere in the world, who's there first? It's always the Yanks. We have ceded so much market share. We have rebuilt for most of the world an economy that they never could have achieved on their own.
Deer running.
Now we're facing a situation with
Watch
all those
deer
who
again.
we've
That's
helped
related to farming. VIX still above
don't like us
15.
playing in their market.
You're coming down again.
They love coming to
Couple
America.
of agra plays are moving.
But they don't want America coming to them. They make it very hard for us to do trade with them, whether it's through tariffs or barriers, which our manufacturers can't meet. And we sit here today trying to make this
China,
a political
Yang on the low.
event instead of a country-saving event.
Oh, this is lagging. Because it says USTR Greer says not clear yet whether farmer bailout necessary.
Steel mill still is. We built railroad cars.
Let's see.
Pullman was there.
Either said that on the last
built the
question or
first
this is
Jeep.
behind.
We were known as that town. Blue-collar town. People get up in the morning, work hard, and what they look for is
old.
that chance to get some overtime.
Well, that's rehitting right now.
Last summer, we became known as the town with the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. We're resilient. We always bounce back. We always will bounce back. And I got to tell you,
Argentina,
from
YPF getting
people
dumped
that
on.
Actually work every day, get
That's
up and go to
weird.
work, and they're looking at a market that they're constantly losing market share in, and they wonder who is going to stand up and do something? Who's finally going to talk about the real problems in America and quit talking about the stock market? Stop talking about all these other things, because I've watched it go up, I've watched it go down, I've watched it go sideways, I watched it where some people say, I don't like to play in that because I don't understand how it works. Here's the one thing I do know. You know it too. It's all about work. It's all about market share.
Shit, I can't
Jamie
disagree with
UAW
homeboy.
3303.
All about that work,
in a dire
baby.
situation, not because of foreign
Yeah,
competition.
Deere
That
keeps
hurt us
going.
a lot. We went from a steel plant that were 7,000 people down to there's about 1,300. We produce something called grain-oriented electric steel, the only producer of that product in America.
He's spitting right
and
now.
we're in danger of losing it because we had an administration that had a blind eye and a deaf ear to what they were giving up. Also, Jim Winnings, who operates
DE is hard to play
a
off
factory
the
down in Mars,
That
Pennsylvania, shares his view with me about how much market share they've lost. So I'm amazed
God bless you.
when we try to turn this into a political
Oh, wait, no. Are you the
battle.
dude who I blocked on Twitter
not
and
a-
you talk shit all the time?
USA
I hope
saving
that's not
grace
you.
battle where we
But if
finally
it's not
wake
you,
up.
I love you. If it's you, I already
Just
blocked you,
as
so fuck
Admiral
you.
Yamamoto feared
I don't
in
know.
World War II, all we have done is to awake a sleeping giant. We have given away so much of our market and been denied access to other markets. We are the first responder every time something goes wrong in the world. I would just like to see the world treat us with the same respect as we have treated them. Level the playing field. That's all the president's asking for. Level the playing field. Don't make it
Bond's moving a
impossible
little.
for us to play. Don't tell us, yes, you can come here as long as you meet these standards, knowing that the standards they've set we can't meet. Yet we still allow them to come in. I sell Chevrolets.
Oh, yeah?
I sell Hyundais.
Oh.
I sell Kias. I sell Toyotas. And I sell Mitsubishis.
I thought you worked for me.
People say, why is it that you have to do that? I
Wait.
said, to make payroll. Most of these companies have factories in the United States, and they have come here to help build, not to tear down with American workers. I really applaud what you're doing. I applaud the President of the United States for having the backbone to stand up and fulfill a pledge that others have made before him. They've stood on the floor of the Congress and talked about this and railed about what's happening to our markets and done not a damn thing about it. He stands up into a stiff wind and says, it's going to hurt for a while until we get back to where we need to be. It's always should be America first, and anybody that doesn't think that way, please tell me what the hell country you think you're going to take your wife and your kids to and your grandkids to. There is no other place in the world like America, and we have been so generous and so welcoming, and as I said earlier, we've saved the world twice. Now it's time for us to say to the world, if you want us to be the first responder, you can't keep stealing our market and not allowing us to play in yours. Ambassador, you've got a hell of a task in front of you. The biggest task you have is this has become a political agenda and not a saving the United States of America. America first, please, for everybody.
I have not heard
am red, white, and blue. I could care less whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. Just wake up and understand that we cannot stand to lose any more market share, and we better be tough on this one, or we turn our backs on the future. And I've got 10 grandchildren. They're relying on me to stand up, and hopefully other members of this committee will do the same thing. This is not about tearing Trump down. This is about building America up. Thank you.
That's the first person I've heard like that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I have
Mr.
not heard
Ambassador,
any
thank
of these
you for being
motherfuckers
here.
say
I
anything of that
believe
nature.
in our great country.
Amen.
I love our country. I put a uniform on and served in combat for our great country. And I'm not here to talk about politics. I'm here to talk about policy, trade policy today. And both the chairman and the ranking member talked about the USMCA. I was honored and privileged to be on that negotiating team when we negotiated that bill and was signed into law by President Trump in 2019. And at the time, the president said it's the best trade deal ever. And I'd like to submit this article into the record explaining what he said.
Without objection.
Now the president is shredding that deal, creating chaos in the world economy. The numbers speak for themselves. $3,800 higher prices for American consumers, 900 laid off U.S. auto workers, trillions in lost retirement savings, tens of billions in lost agricultural sales for farmers. The Trump administration says that the tariff taxes will raise $6 trillion over 10 years, which would be the biggest tax increase in our history. The message coming out of the administration isn't at all coherent. I'm having trouble, my constituents are having trouble understanding this. He puts a tariff on some 180 other countries, no tariff on Russia or Belarus or North Korea, and he's putting tariffs on UK, Ukraine, France, an island that only has penguins on it, but not a country that is clearly working against us and we have a trade deficit with. It's confusing in every instance. He says that tariffs are here to stay, to support domestic manufacturing and to raise revenue to pay for tax giveaways to people who really don't need that tax giveaway help. And at the same time, he's saying that tariffs are part of a negotiation to secure better trade conditions and that this will be over soon. I'd like to know which it is, because it's not coherent at all, and I'd like to submit for the record documentation of his confusing priorities. And Mr. Ambassador, I'm at a loss to what I tell my constituents. As Mr. Neal said about his constituents.
Bro, what the fuck did you tell him when gas was at $9?
Every day.
Just tell him that.
On the street they're asking.
Just whatever you said at $9 a gallon.
$6 trillion tax on the U.S. economy.
Just do exactly what you already did.
What
do you mean? What do you tell your constituents?
$3,800 higher
Bro, houses are
prices
triple.
for the average American family. What do I tell my constituents when they ask that?
Bro, I bought houses in Ohio for $100 grand,
I have an ag
and there were
district.
400
A
grand right
major
now.
agricultural producer just lost all access
Not
to
one
the
person was
number
outraged.
one foreign market to which they export their product. Not only has Canada closed the market, Canada has taken every U.S. product that my constituents send there off the shelves and off their
Delta,
web pages.
Literally.
And what do
guidance.
I tell them when they say, I've been working decades to build that market share and it's all gone that quick? What do you tell them? What do I tell my constituents who say, I have a container that it's already paid for of products coming in, and I will not be able to afford the tariff when that container lands?
Hey, yo,
what do I
TLT
tell my
up.
constituents who say
Spy
we've
dropping
lost
now.
trillions of dollars in our 401ks? How do I make that up? What do I tell my constituents when they say, my kids are getting ready to go to college and my 529 is in the dumps? How am I going to pay for my kids' education? Wait, things are going to get better? Their kids are going to school now. They can't wait for stuff to get better. And pharmaceuticals, we had a hearing in the subcommittee yesterday on pharmaceuticals. And this tariff war is pricing pharmaceutical consumers out of the market. A 25% tax or tariff on pharmaceuticals? How are my constituents going to be able to afford their medications? This doesn't make any sense. This is an unprovoked tariff war that's costing us a lot of money with no confusing answer as to what we're doing, where we're going, or when we're going to get there. I yield back.
Mr. Schweikert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Ambassador, just so I can clear my head, what's our trade balance with North Korea?
I don't think we have any trade. There's an embargo. A lot of those countries have embargoes.
I sent out 2 plays to watch. I sent out a shitty spy call just in case we move crazy, and then I put out a put or a downside play to watch. I haven't traded those yet. I just want you to see what I'm looking at, because I'm shopping and I'm trying to find plays, but I have a couple of ideas.
Okay, so that's congressional staff. Where I do have a concern, let's say both the left and the right, we agree we want
Okay, you're
to
coming down.
move as much robustness back to the United States. We, whether it be a manufacturing renaissance, whether it be in the service industry, those things. Okay. When you're doing your formulas, when you're advising the White House, others, do you spend some time on infrastructure issues?
Okay, look at banks too. They're dumping. Everything's starting to come down. No headline.
Manufacturing. Just looking at.
So now this is the first time in the hour we broke this little range. You're actually right at the low end of it, 4972.
And it was part of the discussion was, okay, we'd like to make precursor inputs into, small.
I know the preems on the puts are terrible.
Except
that's why I said there's only shitty plays. My calls and puts that I just sent out, they're shitty. These are the plays where we need to move extreme. Otherwise, I'm putting out prices to look for. So like I have calls at a certain price, I think they're going to be money. And then there's shitty puts that if the bid goes down, you buy them.
We don't have the infrastructure mechanics.
All right, you're dumping. You just went down 4 points in 4 minutes.
Permitting process to actually
literally no headlines, bonds up 1%, still red on the day.
Guys, I need you to help us get these things so we can actually, whether it be through tariffs or other incentives, move them. Do you spend time analyzing the infrastructure realities we have to actually be able to produce these products?
So yes, Congressman.
No, it's not.
And when we talk about
it's not even Euro close. You got 30 more minutes still.
President's recent action.
But it kind of moved like this yesterday.
Tax policy, which is important for pharmaceutical production. We talk about permitting and environmental policy. All of these things go together. That's why President Trump had such a successful first term in terms of the economy, because all of
that one call is 10% from the target.
What's happened in the last week?
They're still shitty because you just moved down 4 points.
Look, in many ways, I'm finding myself, I support the ultimate goal.
MRM.
I'm just wondering if
this might be your small cap runner.
Has been done with the
that is going up.
Details that are necessary to make it successful. And then
Amazon flipped, NVO 59.
Provide people like me
watch if those saying, Vietnam plays start dumping. Like look, ONON and Nike.
This on permitting reform.
Yeah, and even Walmart too. That was your winner.
Regulatory issues. And I haven't seen that input yet on. Do you see where I'm going? Is if this is the ultimate goal, how do we get there? Is it straight through a tariff regime?
Okay, you're at the low of the day, which is pretty much the opening price. Remember, we were down 3%. And then by cash open, we gapped up. Do you guys see the problem? So now you're just back to opening candle, but that's the low of the fucking day. Remember, you were gapped hella down, just like the bonds. So technically, this isn't really the low.
So you have the information.
So watch 4937. 49150.
Can do what he can do, right? He
and then 488.
But he can create incentives.
Okay, Vic's going too.
This is beyond even the infrastructure mitigation.
Okay, I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
It's not enough.
I'll be right back. You guys are flying blind. Follow me on Instagram at the Trading Fraternity. Real Code News on Twitter.
And that's why we're working closely with other economic cabinet members. We're talking about the importance of this. And I'll tell you, Administrator Zeldin and others, they're out there. They're trying to expedite permits. They're trying to make sure that regulations are appropriate to allow the kind of reshoring we need to.
So, Ambassador, what do you need from us? What can we do? The ultimate punchline here is, what do you need from those of the members of Congress who actually support the ultimate goal? A little concerned about the path, but ultimate goal. What do you need from us? And please bring that to us so we can actually do our work.
I have plenty of ideas. I'm happy to talk to the White House Office of Legislative Affairs about that. I think there's a lot Congress could do if they would like to.
We look forward to those documents. Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Larson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and Ambassador Greer. Welcome to the committee. Thank you for all your service. I just have a direct question because I'm a little puzzled. Being a great James Bond fan, I was kind of wondering what this whole deal is to Russia with love and why, as has been pointed out, that on April the 2nd, the president excluded Russia, Belarus, Cuba, and North Korea from the new global tariff. The Treasury sector said Russia wasn't on the list because they already imposed sanctions to prevent most U.S.-Russia trade, making higher tariffs unnecessary. The question's kind of twofold. Is that the case with Russia, Belarus, Cuba, and North Korea? While trade in goods has decreased, trade with Russia is still significant. Last time I checked, it's like $3.5 billion, well above the volumes of trade for many smaller countries that my colleagues have already been through that are impacted by this. So first,
All right,
was
I'm
this
back.
an oversight?
Kind of hit a new low. Remember,
Or
very
is the
deceptive.
president trying to
You have way
reinvigorate
more range
trade
from the
with Russia?
pre-market than it looks like.
So
Don't
there's
be
no
fooled.
effort to reinvigorate trade with Russia. Congress did the right thing a couple of years ago and revoked permanent normal trade relations with Russia, so put it in the bad
Shortly, a
category.
major tariff
So
on
Belarus,
pharma.
Russia, North Korea, they already have their own high tariffs already in a category that Congress has
So
established.
it doesn't matter. They're not part.
So literally, last night, Trump announced the pharma thing. It's breaking news. It'll be big. And now CNBC is saying shortly we might get it. So you might have that today. I don't know if that was planned for today or not, but be on watch. That's coming out now. You already knew about it. You're just hearing about it again now, reiterated this morning. It may be coming up later.
For agricultural products, and I think that's the only type of trade we really have with Russia. But all of those folks, they're sanctioned, they're subject to embargoes of one type or another. Congress revoked permanent normal trade relations, and that's certainly the right answer for those folks. We should not have normal trade relations with those countries.
Well,
And we
let me
don't.
ask you this then. Would you commit here that if we see trade increasing from last year, that USTR will take action
watch
to
out.
increase tariffs on Russia?
Oh, I'm happy to monitor that and advise the president accordingly. I agree with you.
I'm
on
sorry,
that.
what?
I'm happy to monitor that and advise the president
What
accordingly.
does that
I
mean,
agree
you're
with
going
you.
to monitor that?
Well, you asked if we would see if the would change, if we would see if the trade level would change. I'm agreeing with you. I'm happy to see if the trade level
And
with
if
Russia changes.
if it does increase, you will add additional tariffs.
Okay,
Well,
look,
it's the
bonds
president's
going
choice, but
down
I'll
too now.
advise him, and
Watch
I'll
out for
say
that.
This is affecting the trade deficit. We
And
should consider this.
So
So get
does
ready.
That mean you would advise
You're like
him
at this
to-
weird level. It looks like the low.
raise
There's a
the
lot
tariffs
more.
with
VIX
Russia?
is already
Well, I don't
going.
typically give out my
But now
advice to
bonds
the
are
president
selling
in
off too
public,
on that.
but,
Wait till
I
gold
agree
starts
with
Well, I'm
going.
sure
Yeah,
the
golds
American
are.
people would love to know, and as with members of
Yeah,
Congress.
bro,
I mean,
we're just doing it again. This is the fucking liquidity drain. It's happening again. Do you see what I'm saying? So gold stopped going up all of a sudden. Then TLT reacted a little bit. Now all of a sudden at the low, as you're getting the tariff shit, you're going down again. So this is that like there's no liquidity. This is the drain every single time. So when you watch SPY down and TLT down and gold down, that's liquidity getting drained right now. And I could confidently say that because of how the last 3 days have played out. So, and that's what we've been talking about with bonds right now. So be on the lookout. You're not, again, where are you going to go to hide? You can't hide. And now premiums are up 1,000% too. So be careful.
so I'm going to be able to tell them,
They
don't
didn't
worry.
drop the bids on those
I spoke
other
with
ones.
Ambassador Greer, and currently Russia's apparently paying enough. Their sanctions already are sufficient. But
China's dumping too.
if we see greater activity in grade trade amounts, we're going to make sure that tariffs are levied on them. Is that a fair thing to say?
Well, on the last part, I can't make the president's decision for him, right? I mean, Russia.
But you would
and the other bad
recommend
actors-
that you would increase tariffs on them.
Well, I'm not going to disclose my recommendations.
So
to the
we're not going to
president.
recommend, we're not going to say, see, at all getting raised, they would say, hey, come on, you're BSing us now. We know what's going on here. But with that, thank you, Ambassador, and appreciate your time. I yield back.
Mr. LaHood.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ambassador Greer, welcome back. Thank you for your prior service under the last Trump administration and all the work you put in on USMCA, and happy to see you in this new position. I wanted to talk about agriculture and get your take on how tariffs affect agriculture. My district that I am proud to represent is the 10th largest ag district in the country in terms of corn and soybean production. The number one industry in the state of Illinois is agriculture. People are surprised by that. Illinois has led the nation the last 12 years in soybean production. We've been second in corn production the last 6 years. And In my district, we load up a lot of commodities on barges on the Illinois and the Mississippi River. They go down to New Orleans, they get offloaded, and they go all around the world. About 40% of the corn and soybeans in my district, again, go to places all across the globe. And so markets and customers are very, very important. And I will just say at the outset that I appreciate what President Trump is doing in terms of addressing long-standing trade deficits and bringing down barriers to trade, and also your commitment for looking for new trade deals and entering negotiations to address tariff and non-tariffs across the globe. But as I talk to my farmers, there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, a lot of uncertainty, because when we get into a trade war, usually the first pawn in the trade war is agriculture. And as we look at the time...
No one's going to react to this immediately, but you guys, if you know me, South Africa weakens currency, or at least it weakens to a record low. So that's another currency. You guys were just asking me about Nigeria, too. So add that. Again, yuan volatility at record highs, China currency, and now, yeah, you're getting two other global currencies starting to weaken and move lower.
And those are actually many of the countries that are coming to us and saying, we're willing to take down our tariffs. Vietnam unilaterally decided to reduce its tariffs on apples, cherries, certain corn products, ethanol, et cetera. So we're already seeing the kind of movement we would expect, and that's something that I think is an important message to our farmers.
Thank you for that. I want to switch topics to digital trade. And I believe we have a tremendous opportunity in digital trade, and the United States must lead in setting global rules and standards.
4950.
We can't allow non-market adversaries like China.
Bro, next level is 4931.
Further manipulate the digital trade
and then
agenda.
491 and then 48.
Unfortunately, under the Biden administration, we ceded this authority, and we've seen the consequences of discriminatory policies hurting U.S. innovation. I think we can be aggressive, working with our like-minded partners and allies to build on the progress made during President Trump's first administration, including the digital agreement with Japan and the robust standards set in the digital chapter of USMCA, which is, in my view, kind of the gold standard for future trade agreements. What can you say today, Ambassador Greer, on how you view the expanding U.S. leadership in digital trade moving forward in this administration?
Well, I think it's a huge comparative advantage that we have. Our digital commerce companies and digital trade companies are the most competitive in the world. And they're competing with ones from China. And in that competition, we have to win. And if I have other countries discriminating against our champions, that's bad for America, it's bad for our companies and workers, and it's bad for the world. And I know we're having a national conversation, politically on how to regulate, digital tech, et cetera. But in no case can we allow discrimination to undermine our competitive advantage here.
Thank you, Ambassador Greer. I yield back.
Thank you. I now recognize Mr. Davis for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Ambassador. It is important that the executive administration respect and recognize Congress.
Watch bonds and gold. See if, again, bonds are going to be the ultimate loser. If gold goes up, you'll get a little bit of relief with the market.
The administration on the content of that agreement. Unfortunately, what we have seen from the Trump-Musk administration.
TLT, this is about to be one of the biggest days for TLT. And I don't mean the price move, but maybe. But that bond auction in a couple of hours will either change or add to the narrative in a crazy way.
Approach to advancing his America First trade policy has been
honestly, TLT should, again, it was down 3% at pre-market. That's what sucks about all of this. We had a way bigger move pre-market. It's not reflecting all of it. But yeah, TLT is starting to go down. Be careful though, the puts are just now they're all up 500%.
The vehicle supplier industry employs more than 930,000 people directly and 4.8 million indirectly. Individuals across the country representing the largest sector of manufacturing jobs in the United States. Tariff impact on the automotive industry is massive and may result in shutting down businesses within the automotive supply chain, which will harm the U.S. economy as a whole. The automotive supply chain is not agile in its ability to make changes. However, the motor vehicle parts sector and many others have adjusted supply chains to support more regional production. My question is, since it would take years to adjust production and supply chains back to the U.S., in the meantime, the auto sector will be hit with multiple layers of tariffs that will soak up any free cash that could be used for the very investments in the U.S. that the administration is seeking. Is the administration planning any relief for
Delta says they'll defer any aircraft deliveries with tariffs.
Industry? And what other help can the government provide to these suppliers due to the most recent changes in tariffs?
So, Congressman, the autos action is under the Department of Commerce, but I'll just make 2 brief points. First of all, right now, if the parts comply with USMCA rules of origin, the agreement we all agreed to 5 years ago, they continue to come across duty-free. So that's a good development. And second, the United Auto Workers are huge supporters of the action on autos and auto parts, and they put out a long statement supporting this long overdue issue. We have Chinese vehicles flooding global markets. The only reason they're not in this market is because President Trump put a tariff on Chinese automobiles in 2018, and the Biden administration kept them and put them in place. It's really critical that we protect our auto industry, and the auto workers understand that. We've accounted for parts that have U.S. content and content from Canada and Mexico, and we have to be very deliberate about doing this to save this industry.
Thank you. And let me ask you, have you conducted an analysis on the net impact of tariffs across different sectors of the economy? And what steps is your office taking?
Just saw LT in the Cybertruck.
Negative employment effects.
So with respect to, we have a lot of historical data about tariffs. For example, the International Trade Commission, they put out a report following the Trump first-term tariffs, and they found that there were positive effects on domestic production in terms of
Apple's even coming back.
Better profits for domestic production.
Literally, that little
we know in the first
liquidation,
term, when we put tariffs in
gold
place,
and SPY bounce
inflation
back up.
went
Just
down,
watch if
unemployment
these
went
both
down,
come
and
down
median
with
household
bonds.
income went
That'll
up.
be more
We
lack
expect
of
that
liquidity.
With, good energy policy, good trade policy,
But
good
something
tax
just
policy,
came
good
back
permanent
there,
regulatory processes,
or it came out of there and
this
then
can all
came in
rise
there.
together to again lead to an increase in real median household income for Americans.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back.
The gentleman yields back and now recognize Mr. Estes for 5 minutes.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Ambassador Greer, for joining us today and taking time out of your schedule to meet with us. Ambassador, I just welcome you again to the Ways and Means Committee, which has
Intel again. Are any other chips going up?
Jurisdiction for trade issues in the House.
Yeah, Intel's kind of breaking out.
Working with administration,
a little different than any other chip maker.
Prioritizes free and fair trade. Unlike the previous administration.
Yeah, Intel's the only one on the high right now.
Much zero emphasis
Literally
on
$18.40 to $19
and
now.
On new deals with foreign nations, in effect putting America last. I represent Kansas 4th District, the air capital of the world, which is a microcosm of the United States. We have large aerospace
Intel again.
core in Wichita, as well as other manufacturing
That just could be individual
and a widespread
eyes on that.
agriculture base in the surrounding rural counties. This cross-section of the country every day works to feed, clothe, and provide energy for the entire world. Additionally, skilled workers manufacture airplanes and aerospace components, build computer instruments that power our devices, and it's an understatement to say that our district benefits from free and fair trade, because when Kansas compete on an even term, we win. The aviation industry has benefited from historical zero-for-zero tariff with foreign nations since the 1980s. Nearly every single airplane around the globe contains at least one component made in Kansas. In contrast, our agriculture sector faces stiff barriers with foreign nations. As illustrated in your testimony, ethanol product produced in Kansas faces a steep 18% tariff in Brazil, while the same Brazilian product is only charged a tariff of 2.5%. This type of unfair,
any of them, I just noticed Intel's the only one moving like that. Some of them came up, but Intel's the only one breaking through a high right now.
Placed on U.S.
It's still going
by foreign competitors, and I'm pleased to see the number of countries 70 plus or so that have mentioned that they want to make a deal. I'd also like to discuss some non-tariff barriers that functionally disadvantage the U.S. in comparison to our trading partners. I've been a vocal opponent of digital services taxes, DSTs. These extraterritorial taxes enacted by many countries, including France, Canada, and UK, are highly targeted on
Trump
US
NASA nominee
and innovators.
tells them, I
Many of my
absolutely
colleagues
want to
agree that
see us
DSTs are
return to the
revenue
moon.
grab by countries that restrict technology.
Reeves, Trump
innovation,
tariff war is not
including
enough to
American
override
companies that are
UK
successful in this
fiscal
space.
rule. That's the
Recently,
UK.
in the recently
Reeves.
released 2025 National Trade Estimate Report.
Yeah,
on foreign
Euro
trade
closing
barriers,
18.
I was pleased to see the USTR.
We're
include
moving, baby.
Germany's
We're moving.
Extraterritorial.
But watch
assertion
Intel.
of
That one's
retroactive
randomly
taxes,
just going
known
up.
as the Section 49. This law has been dormant for the past 100 years, but disproportionately targets
LHX.
U.S. businesses. These examples aren't from their advertisers.
L3 Harris getting volume and gapping.
Of why it's so important to level the playing field.
That one's interesting.
And open markets for American manufacturers and producers. The very effort that you're trying to put in right now. Regarding Germany's Section 49, I believe reaching a resolution on this issue is important. In consulting with Treasury and IRS, it's my understanding that they've engaged with some affected taxpayers and German officials on this issue, but it's yet to be resolved. What's your strategy in terms of working on this issue with Germany, and will you work with me and
Could
my
be a
staff
fake
and
pump,
the
but for
committee
now
as
it
we
stands
pursue,
out.
Resolution for this
That's
issue?
all. I don't have a headline on it though.
First of all, I always like talking to you, Congressman, because as you know, I lived in Wichita for 2.5 years and served at the Air Base when I was in the Air Force and had a child born there. So we have a nice connection there. I will work with Secretary Bessent on this issue with Section 49. I've had some good interactions with my German counterpart in the past couple of weeks, and we're happy to work with you on this to see what the best way forward is.
Yep. Well, thank you. And I know some of that crosses over, as you mentioned, with Treasury Secretary and the issues there. And there's so many things moving on in your direct sphere of influence with all the activities trying to make sure that there's free and fair trade for American companies and American competitors. And I just applaud your efforts in helping make, putting America first in these efforts. And thank you, and I yield back.
Thank you.
The gentleman yields. I now recognize Ms. Sanchez for 5 minutes.
Thank you. As the ranking member of this committee's Trade Subcommittee, I want to say a few words about President Trump's latest scheme, his so-called reciprocal tariffs. Let's start by making one thing perfectly clear. These tariffs are not reciprocal. But don't just take my word for it. According to the Wall Street Journal,
I don't think it's your word. Why, look at me when you talk.
Reciprocal, nor is it based on measuring foreign trade barriers.
Look at me when you speak.
Trump's latest scheme.
You don't really believe it.
I want to note that I recently returned from a NATO bureau meeting.
Why you got to read about it then?
Firsthand, how President Trump's
firsthand, you had to write it.
Trade decisions have damaged our global leadership with our allies, and it's appalling to see how Trump is treating our friends and allies compared to how he's treating our adversaries. It was mentioned that under this tariff scheme of Trump's, Russia gets a free pass, while our allies, including those who stood with us after the terrorist attacks of 9/11, are hit with increasing tariffs. Russia's tariff rate is 35%, and we have hit our trading partners with far higher tariffs. It's sad to say that our NATO allies don't trust us anymore, so his scheme isn't just damaging our economy, it's actually undermining our long-standing security partnerships around the world. And in addition to undermining our relationships with our allies, Trump's scheme imposes randomly high tariffs on numerous countries, including our FTA partners. For instance, under the Korea-US Free Trade Agreement, Korea eliminated tariffs on most goods from the United States. Last year, Korea's effective tax rate for goods imported from the United States was less than 1%.
All right, Alex.
Yet Trump has
That's
imposed
2 fat jokes in a
25%
row,
tariff on
Alex.
South Korea.
You have to
Trump
send me a
repeatedly
picture
insisted that he wanted to impose the same
of you in the
tariffs
mirror.
on other countries
Otherwise, I'm
as
going to
they
ban you.
impose on us.
Okay.
And I want to read a quote from the president, quoting him, "On trade, I have decided for purposes
Because you better
of
be
fairness
swole as hell with
I will
that sort of
charge a
attitude.
reciprocal tariff,
I'm just saying.
meaning whatever countries charge the United
You
States
better
of
be
America,
Mr.
we will
Alex.
charge them no more and no less."
Okay, you got to
But
pop.
as we now know, that is not true. That is completely false. And because it isn't true, the Trump administration came up with a fake formula to justify this tariff scheme.
You think it?
Now, doesn't
Oh
take
shit,
genius to
Alex, are you
figure
a
out that
girl?
the trade studies
Oh, then don't send me
called
that.
for
I
by the
didn't mean that.
president
If
in
you're a female,
January, and the
I'm
so-called
sorry.
reciprocity
I'm not. Oh
rationale
shit,
of
I think it
latest,
is a girl.
trade scheme
I don't know,
are
man. I don't
completely
know. Fuck.
bogus. It's
Never
made
mind. Don't send me a
Understand
picture
why
in the
Trump
mirror
is
of the.
pursuing this crazy
No.
scheme.
It's
You
not
understand
what
to
I wanted.
understand his MO.
It's not what I
First,
wanted. Never mind.
He threatens a
Never
huge
mind.
tariff.
You could.
Second, he tries
Girls
to
could
use
call
those
each
tariffs
other
as
fat. That's I'll
leverage
leave
to
that between
extort
you two.
countries.
That's
Many
not-
of them
I'm
are
staying
allies.
out of this.
And third,
Retract,
he declares
retract.
anything that they promise as a huge
Back
victory,
out.
even when it's an insubstantial deal meant only to
I didn't
appease
have
Trump
all the
and his
full
cronies.
info.
And fourth, repeat this.
Alex
corrupt
is a
practice over and
gender-neutral
over
name.
again.
It could have
This is
been
all intended
anything.
To distract and divert the
I was just
media's
trying to
attention.
defend
I urge
the
everybody
liberal
to
on
take
the
a step
stage
back
here out
from
of
the daily
fairness,
chaos
and
that comes
now
out of the White House
shit.
to consider the bigger picture here. Trump should not fool around with the economy. American families should not be forced to pay higher prices to fund tax cuts for the rich. Which
Girls
leads me
are
to
mean to
suspect
each
that
other.
these tariffs are not temporary in nature, because they need the revenue to give tax
That's all I
cuts
learned today. I'm like, damn,
Trump
ladies.
shouldn't fool around with workers.
Y'all rip
Workers
each
are
other
pawns.
apart, huh?
Instead of this chaos, workers need robust.
She was calling her like a
industrial policy
torta
paired
and
with
being, and
workforce
I was like,
development
damn.
And targeted
Like, why are you
tariffs
talking so
to
much shit? It's
reshore
about
certain
trade.
American industries. Yet the president doesn't have a comprehensive plan to do any of that. Trump shouldn't fool around with our democratic values. Trump's trade agenda is all being done behind closed doors. There's no transparency. Backroom deals are corrupt and they're anti-democratic. As members of Congress, we need to reassert our voice in the face of Trump's insane trade policies. Republicans need to stand with Democrats and decisively call out Trump's harmful tariff scheme.
Fed
As I
Muslim
said in our
expects
previous
U.S.
hearing,
economy
House
to grow
Democrats
this
are
year.
open to new
Oh,
trade
below
agreements with
estimate.
partners that are committed to advancing workers' rights, protecting the environment, defending human rights, and safeguarding our intellectual property. Unfortunately, the president's corrupt tariff scheme is trampling on our Constitution by sidelining Congress's jurisdiction over trade. Let this administration's record in trade policy and elsewhere serve as a grave warning, and there is no denying that this president and his cronies are rapidly working to consolidate power. With that, Trade Representative Greer, I have a couple of questions for you. In the April 2nd announcement, did the president issue tariffs on the European
I swear
Union,
she don't
Japan,
even
and
know
South
who she's
Korea?
talking to.
Yes.
I don't think she understands. She doesn't even know this
I
guy.
don't need an explanation. I just need a yes or no answer.
She had to
Did
read
the
his
president
name,
issue
bro.
any new tariffs on Russia, Cuba, North Korea, or Belarus?
They already have sanctions embargoes, so no.
No, the question was yes or no. I recently read news
It's a
reports
stupid
indicating that you are
question.
the new head
It's
of the
like
Office of
asking
Special
why
Counsel.
don't
Is
we
that correct?
tariff fentanyl?
That's correct.
It's illegal.
And you currently serve as USTR. With
You
the
are
trade wars, don't you
it's
think that your
supposedly
time
illegal
should be
to trade with
focused
Russia.
exclusively
Why
on
would
trade?
we
And
tariff
isn't it a gross
them?
conflict of interest to be the
I don't-
body
it's a
that
yes or no
oversees
question.
your own agency and position?
Oh, I certainly would recuse myself if there was an issue involving
Well,
me or
I
my
think it's ridiculous
agency.
that you hold both, and I urge you to resign as special counsel. It makes no sense for you to have oversight
Member's
over
time has
yourself. That's
expired.
not true oversight. And with that, I yield back.
Member's time has expired. I now recognize Mr. Smucker for 5 minutes.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hello, Ambassador. I want to thank you for the work that you're doing, for the change that you're working to bring about. And I also want to point out the differences that we've seen in the past 4 years of the Biden administration compared to the 4 years of the
I'm just
Trump
waiting for him to look
administration,
down, but do you see it?
specifically in
Okay.
regards to trade.
Yeah,
I think
see?
Democrats
I think he
and
believes what he's
Republicans
saying.
alike, were very unhappy.
Do you
with
notice the eye
past
contact?
Administration's approach to trade, basically, which was to do nothing, to try to
Do
generate
nothing?
new agreements, and
Where is this
do
guy from?
nothing to try to open markets up for American
This guy Russian?
manufacturers, to do nothing to try to bring jobs back to America, and that's just in such stark contrast to what we saw during the previous Trump administration. He had a bold and effective approach to trade, one that really delivered prosperity.
Where's that
and brought
accent
our
from?
trading partners
Nothing?
to the table. So we appreciate the
Yo,
work that
gold,
the
bro.
president did during his
That's
previous
insane.
administration. We appreciate the work.
All right, whatever.
He's
Yo,
doing.
money's came back. Again, the TOT should be a lot lower anyways, but take notice right there. Not only did you have the market, but that gold move, bro. So at least the money is going to safety. That's believe me, that's a good sign because you don't want it to be the only safe spot is cash. So yeah, Nintendo postpones the launch of Switch 2.
Tariffs in place for our goods, but we weren't doing the same. And so the idea of reciprocal trade, I think, is a great one that I can tell you the American people in my district, business owners in my district, very much support, and they support the goals of this administration to bring back manufacturing jobs to the country, to bring back that investment in the country, and then to open up markets to our great American businesses. So I will also say this, many of those business owners who love what the president is trying to accomplish are feeling a little consternation. They're concerned about what this,
econ
how
term.
we're going to achieve.
Remember?
What the intent is here. They still believe in what the president is doing, as I think every, at least Republican member here, agrees with that. But I just wanted to give you an opportunity, if you don't mind, to just sort of expand maybe on some of the things that you've said previously, but with that sort of audience in mind. What would you say to, for instance, a copper manufacturer in my district who you and I have spoken about previously, but this is impacting their business in a big way? And what would you say to other businesses who are in a similar situation? And maybe if you could just paint a picture of what success will look like here, again, in the context of the successes that we've seen with USMCA.
Oh, wait.
Negotiated under previous
So here's another
administration,
update
all
from
that,
Nikkei on the Switch. They're saying it's in China. It's apparent response to countries' tight controls targeting gaming. So I don't think it's about tariffs as much as it's about China as well, too. Prada deal, watch Tapestry.
Look like? How will that help?
Wasn't it TPR or whatever?
Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman. I think we'll find that
that's related to the Prada Versace deal. Oh yeah, it's right there and on the wire. Soon as Thursday.
The high cost of doing
WSJ, that's confirmed.
Manufacturing in America and growing in America. But when we cannot access foreign markets or we face barriers overseas, and not just tariffs, but also all the non-tariff barriers that we've outlined in this 400-page book, that increased costs. And it makes it difficult to be competitive globally and even domestically. At the same time, we have foreign producers who receive subsidies. They have countries where economic policies depress domestic demand. They make more stuff than they can consume. They send it here. And so I think what we're going to see in the near term, we're going to see a handful of partners who open their markets more to us, and it makes it much easier and much more competitive economically to have manufacturing here, to grow products here, to process them here, and export them to the rest of the world. So it's a virtuous cycle that you create when you create a situation where you have open markets, you create broader economic policies.
Watch TOT,
policy, good energy policy,
but be careful.
To give you the tailwind.
But if we get a rally into the auction, look at the puts. But the problem right now, like the far out of the money puts on TLT are garbage. So just be careful, because there's some that are literally going for, we're talking 50% decline, going for weight that's like 30 cents or something. Stupid. So that's a problem. I want the straddle, but the put side is skewed heavily now. Calls are dirt cheap on TLT, but the puts are going 5 times above value.
It was a pleasure working with
so
you
if we could
on
get a
the
rally
rest of
ahead,
today,
that would be nice.
And for what it's worth,
Euro close comes in 5 minutes, and you're right near the high end, right at the 5,000 again, a little bit above at VWAP.
It was done so with,
Pay the
with
plug!
Congress,
Thank you,
and the
PSC,
executive.
bro.
And that should be the standard.
I love it.
Unfortunately for both of us, President Trump has decided that he doesn't
Y'all
want
about to
work with
have
Congress
PVC
and that
soon.
he
You're
is
about to
not
have
bound by our
post-volatility
Constitution
clarity.
or
When all this
trade
settles,
laws.
all the
President
drama,
Trump has unilaterally
you're gonna be like,
imposed
what?
The largest tax increase on working
Oh,
families in decades.
I guess it
by
wasn't
implementing
that.
broad tariffs that are crashing the economy. and
Xi calls
threatening
for
the
building
livelihoods
community
of
with
so
shared
many working
future with
families
neighboring
in
countries.
Alabama and all across America. Moreover, he is doing so by abusing the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEMPA, clearly states that the president can only
David,
use this
yeah, go to
authority
last night's
in
watch list.
response
I'll give
to,
you a
quote,
24-hour
unusual
timeout so
and
you have enough time.
extraordinary, end quote,
So
threats.
that way you don't distract too much.
However, both you
I
and
got
the
you, G.
president have described the trade
I got you.
deficit as persistent.
Yeah, you're close to hearing Gold ripping into
Our
it.
trade deficit is persistent, and at the same time use an emergency authority which requires it to be.
You
quote,
feel
unquote,
nothing? I
unusual.
know, man. I feel you. I talked about it last night.
Question
I was
to you,
kind
I
of
have a series
aggressive on the watch
questions, and really, I
list.
just want a yes or no answer.
I said I understand
As our
certain
trade
things now.
representative, do you believe that
But
any
yeah, this
restriction
is
on President Trump's
we're gonna look back. The
emergency
long term will
authority,
be
or do you believe that
you're
President
gonna have a
Trump has
nice little
unlimited
scar, but
power to tariff
it
any
will
country
prevail.
for any reason? Yes or no?
Congress has put a number of limitations on that.
Bro, L3 Harris
So is
again.
that a no?
And Lennar now. That's weird. Home
It's
builders.
not unlimited. It's not unlimited.
Did President Trump ask you, or do you believe that using the emergency authority for this purpose of trade deficit is legal?
Of course it's legal, yes.
Do you believe Congress has any role in
I mean,
providing
honestly,
oversight of this
no,
administration's?
I think we could pause it until we get a headline. He said Trump's power to levy tariffs is not unlimited. But no, man, I love this. I love what you just said because you were invested during 08, 2015, China deval, 17, 18 volatility, 2020, 22, and you're significantly less worried about this than those. And I agree with you and I don't. But that's why I keep telling you guys, I'm like, there's some things I've never seen before that just happen. But then there's some stuff where I'm like, it literally feels like we took a piece of every volatile event and then smashed it all together right now. I'm telling you, there's some of 2015, there's some 08 mixed in, there's some 2018, there's some COVID, there's everything all piled into right now. But this is where this is the weird part about it. And I hope, make no mistake, I think the post-volatility clarity, shout out to PNC, baby, what's going to happen is, just don't forget, you guys, like for real, hear me out right now. I'm glad there's a lot of you right now because just like last time, back in the day, make no mistake, we don't know when it will happen. But all of this is just revolving around a good trade deal. Don't lose sight of that because I'm telling you, all of this shit seems so bad right now. But just like 2018, just like the volatility where Powell had to step in 2018, all of it, the moment we get a pivot, you're going to watch a lot of this fear evaporate in thin air. I know it sounds wild, but we just don't know when. So keep that in mind because that's going to be your pain point if you're shorting. One of these days, bro, just be careful. That's going to be the real pivot and shift once we actually get that. So please do not forget that because I'm telling you now, you hear these people and I'm going to give you something after this, okay? Make no mistake because I'm telling you the unexpected bull that should be expected is at the snap of a finger. Whenever we get the real trade deal, a lot of fear will disappear. I hope you understand me, okay? Now, like you said, you've watched all the volatility and you're like, I'm not worried about this one. Here is the odd part. I'm actually worried about this one. Hear me out, Chad. Because like I'm telling you, if they walk this back, easy. That's going to be easy. Trust me, I'm not, there's no panic at all. Believe me, this will be great, right? But at the end of the day, I cannot ignore that if these tariffs stay this high, if everybody acts really dumb, don't underestimate stupidity from both Donald Trump all the way down to everybody reacting to Donald Trump. If we are at these levels of tariffs and then it causes currency, the plumbing of the bond market breaks, my brother, those are very bad things. That's why I was telling you, I'd like Trump. I still like the guy. Some of you are baffled by that. But instantly, I told you, I said this is objectively a bomb. Those rates are way too high. That's the part that freaks me out a little bit. So I know that this could go away. I don't think they're going to push it to that, but the game of chicken, just make no mistake, when you're playing a game of chicken, either somebody could be stupider than you or crazier than you. And that right there is now our worry, is that although I understand we could walk this back immediately, I'm not selling anything. You know my plan and how I go about it. I am keenly aware that we are playing with fire right now. Do you understand that, everybody? Make no mistake. All you do, you cut the oxygen, this fire goes away in a second. That's it. Trump and the trade is allowing oxygen, and that's why it's starting to turn into a wildfire, more or less. But like I'm saying, boom, you could easily put this fire out. This isn't a fire that is uncontrollable, I promise you. Snap of a fingers, somebody pivots from Powell to Trump, this is over. But I'm telling you, you're playing with fire. Like I'm saying, why? Look at the bond market right now. That's not normal. I don't care about a play or anything. I've always told you guys, deflation is terrifying. If the bond market breaks, you have way bigger problems than what's my play. I hope you understand that. So that's where I'm saying it's like, this feels like everything combined. I have an aura of like, yeah, I'm not really worried. I have a 10-year plan. My timeline is good enough. And, you know, just how this all plays out, you know, from experience, this is a lot of fear. Things are moving. We don't really know what's happening. This could be walk back. That's the good part. But the bad part is like, no, the bond market's already breaking. You're already having a weird set of leverage that we've came from. And then now we're flirting with a trade policy that is unknown for the last 100 years. And it's elevated. That right there is fire. And not in a good way. In a way that, well, you know, we could keep being sanguine. And yeah, maybe this will go away. Maybe it doesn't. And I'm still pretty patient. And I still think by June, July, we'll have this answer a little bit more. But at the end of the day, this is something where you have to respect it. And that's why I'm saying it's like, no matter what I believe about a politician, objectively, this could get very bad, and you have to be aware of that. And that's why if we don't negotiate, if we don't change anything, if we do stay here, this is going to be terrible. I think deflation is on the table. That's not good. But then vice versa, we could get rid of this in a second. So I hope that helps you all, and I hope you guys are you know, understanding my thinking right now. But that's why it's like, this is a very crazy moment where it's like, yeah, you don't need to freak out on everything, but if this goes on too long and there's too many things happening and nothing changes, then yeah, we have a problem. We don't know when the market's going to hit a bottom. Don't worry about it. You see what I'm saying? I think that's why I keep telling you it's either pivot or price at this point. That we've gone too much, too many things have changed. It's either the market bottoms at the pivot of Trump or Powell, or we sell off so much, lower the forward PEs, just get rid of a lot of the froth, settle at some low 4,000 level, maybe lower, and then everybody figures it out if nothing has changed.
The internet and digital technologies have revolutionized commerce, enabling businesses of all sizes to access global markets and consumers like never before. However, this potential is being undermined by the rise of digital trade barriers imposed by some of our trading partners. Those barriers come in various forms, from data localization requirements to discriminatory regulations and censorship measures. That not only stifles innovation and economic growth, but also undermines the competitiveness of American business in the digital age. In 2023, the U.S. exports of digitally enabled services accounted for 64% of all U.S. exports, and the U.S. had nearly $300 billion in digital trade surplus.
All right.
Will you make it a
Atlanta Fed GDP negative 2.4 versus 2.8 previous. That got better.
Yes,
but
we're
still
focused
bad.
on this. We're not political or choosing sectors we like.
Market going down a little on that.
And we've recorded
Last time that would come
this
in,
year, different
market would
digital
go
trade
up because it was
barriers.
bad news.
Obviously, Congress is going to,
India
regulate and
exploring
decide how we're
feasibility
going
of
to
allowing
manage
companies
digital
to
trade,
list in
competition,
London.
those kinds of things. But we just can't have discrimination, and I won't accept that by our foreign trading partners, especially in this area where we're so competitive.
Trump expected to sign action on shipbuilding today.
Answering everyone's question.
That could be why
Again, it shows
LHX
the
is up.
understanding of the relationship between the
Bonds,
executive
new
branch and
lows,
Congress
SPY
as a
starting to come
relationship.
down.
Thank you again. Appreciate
Keep
it.
an eye
And
on
go back.
gold and then anything else, but gold's still up.
Ms. Del Bene.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Ambassador, for being with us today. Tax day came early this year, came on April 2nd, since Trump's sweeping tariffs are raising prices for American families by $4,600
That looked like
year,
Sam
according to the
Bankman's
latest
girlfriend's
estimates.
mom.
It keeps going up.
I feel
Families are
like
struggling.
they're related to
Businesses are
Caroline.
panicking. I talked to a business in my district that talked about being tariffed out of business. We have businesses who have a lot of export, who manufacture right here in the U.S. and export, who are losing business. Even Republicans are beginning to break with the president. We've seen several joint bills that would make clear that the president does not have the ability to single-handedly impose sweeping tariffs. The real question we're all wondering is, how do we get out of this mess that Trump has created? Chairman Smith recently said he hopes that the Trump tariffs will give USTR leverage to negotiate new trade deals.
This is what I'm saying, though,
but
bro.
Ambassador,
just watch. I mean it genuinely. I know it's politics, but and then look, HII. Oh shit, that was the one. Remember that shipbuilding headline I just read you? HII's running on that. There is one play actually. There's only one of them. I'm gonna take it. Oh nope, you took it. Oh, the chat, you just snaked me, bro. Who was that? Oh, it just doubled! No, you got it, bro. There's only one. I was like, all right, I'm going to take that one. And then right when I was about to do it, it went away. Yeah, now it doubled on the ask. Look, I taught you well. I taught you well. Hey, man. You snooze, you lose, baby. Hey, man. And what's yours is yours. Oh, it is push-up time. Yeah, and Euro close was 7 minutes ago. Not bad. Never outshine the master? No, please outshine me. That's kind of my goal. That's why I get mad if you don't. That's why you better save, get a long term, because then if you outshine me, you're going to buy me a house. So, amen. Yeah, HII, Reuters headline. Again, Trump going to sign shipbuilding today, I believe. I think there's another one. They said shipbuilding and something else, but L3, HII, that one really moved off that, and then NOC is on the high too. Well, that was good. That was good. Honestly, I haven't made too many plays. I took profits. TSN. Yeah, all I did is take profits today. I called out a couple plays to watch, and they hit certain levels. I did another play, actually. I'm still holding it. That one just was one of those 1 cent plays. I know, yeah. Oh, dude, you're right. Hold on. Yeah, wait a minute. Where is Japan? You're right. You have a, yeah, no, you're going to get that today. Maybe tomorrow, but that's a good thought. Keep that in mind. Yeah, we literally have Japan flying over. Remember that? So here's the thing with TLT, you guys. It needs to go down 3%. That's what I'm saying. I was pissed in the morning because if it was still down, that would have been so easy to play. The puts, you can't grab the puts. They're hard right now. Or if you're grabbing puts, they have to be near the money. Just keep that in mind. The out of the monies now, they're not hitting how we hit the other day on them because they were so cheap the other day. But now everybody is picked up on this idea. Now everyone's looking at the bond market terrified. So the puts are actually very expensive on the out of the money. The near the monies, you could at least profit if it drops another 1%. Just be very careful of the out of the monies, though. Calls are cheap, but now ideally for the auction, you're going to want both ways. But if you're not already positioned, that's going to be hard because the puts just, it doesn't work with the puts. The puts are too expensive. Your break evens won't allow you a decent play. So, honestly, we want this to run up ahead of the auction. We don't want it to sell off because now if it sells off during the auction, before the auction, that'll make the puts even harder too. So, yeah, but just keep watching it, though. But like I'm saying, if you think it's bad now, it should be a lot worse because that's where it was in the morning. If you did not see bonds last night, this is where everybody started freaking out. They saw China, Japan, then they're talking about the basis trade, and then they're like, wait a minute, the bonds are breaking. It's not, that's it. I was telling you it a little earlier, but now I think that's hitting the mainstream that the bonds are now at a very Now people are throwing out basis theories beyond just China, this and that. But you are coming down now. So again, bonds already led the way. Like I told you, SPY's the same thing. Do not be fooled. You have a lot of range today. Cash open kind of messed it up. All right, yeah, but do a push-up, man. Let's go. Stand up. You're going down, though. Low ticker is fully gassed on the 30-second, 1-minute velocity. Where's my resistance? Okay. All right. What happened to that shitty UVXY? Crazy. Those are cheaper, actually. Nice. It's okay. I'm not going to buy it yet. I might, but I'm going to send out another play to watch because now I got another idea. That's good, though. I'm watching decay on volatility plays. Yeah, no, that's good, though. The VIX, if you're holding it already, it sucks, but they're now the far extreme out of the monies are going down. This is what's going to happen to TLT. So hear me out. This is what I'm trying to tell you right now. And then watch out. SPY going lower. But look. So these ones are still holding. They didn't drop as much to near the monies, right? But now these like 90s, bro, that's not going to fucking hit. That shouldn't. That's why I call it a shitty play. These are now decaying, though. So even though now you're moving down, VIX is going up, it's doing it a lot slower. So the names that are really far out the money, they don't go up as much. Are you following? So this is what I'm about to stream alert. I'm going to stream alert another one to watch instead of the original play. I want you to go closer to the money now. That's what we need to try to find out. So we could go closer to the money, lower price. We could find the sweet spot. But that's what I want you to keep in mind, both UVXY, but also because I was just telling you about TLT. That's the same thing. So watch, because TLT, the near the money puts, those are going to go up. But the out of the monies aren't going to move. So if you're trying to straddle and you're spending money on calls, but then you're getting a terrible put, you're going to lose more money. So just be mindful. You want to kind of capture this dollar for dollar. TLT moving $3. That's $200 right there. Dollar for dollar. Now what's the price of the contract? On a call, you could get 1,000%, but now if the puts are too expensive, that'll be a little bit more. So yeah, just watch out for that. You just got back from jail? Oh, well, nice. U.S. Admiral confirms 2 men of Chinese origin fighting for Russia were captured by Ukraine. I got an email from jail. You know that? A Chad went to jail and emailed me. I got a message from the prison thing, and it said, log in. I was going to read it, but then it was like I had to make an account, so I didn't make an account, bro. I'm sorry. So I don't know what he sent me. But I tried until I was like, nah, this could be a scam. Alrighty. We need more, though. I don't want to touch TLT, at least not until it gets to that opening price. Airbus deliveries coming out. That was a different one. I don't know. That's why I said, man, it's weird. I've encountered a lot of people in the years, but then, like, some people go to jail, and then they hit me up. I was like, damn. So, but hey, as long as you get a long term, I don't really care. That's all that matters. Oh, we were down, but now again, just what happened yesterday. So there's just weird shit going on. That's all. Like, you're in market freakout mode. We're not in a calm state of like reacting to things. You know, yesterday we were up 4% and closed down 2%, focused on one news and then ignored the other. Now even today, someone just brought it up. I think we're going to hear from Japan today. I think there's a positive Japan headline in the works, but we've kind of forgot about it. But then again, we gapped down 3% today. Right at cash open, you went green. So I think this is just a lot of movement, a lot of range, but I don't know if it's a good day in hospice. Yeah, but it's just play the events. And I said it on the watch list yesterday. There is a huge event this week that I think everybody has not really realized. And now if you watch yesterday's watch list, does it make sense? Remember I was telling you the scenarios that we could have where if we start going up or down. But now, like, imagine we stay pinned here. Think about Friday, and you're going to have something. Apple news, it's not reacting. I'll check. Beijing messaging insists despite the retaliation, Chinese are willing to talk. That sounds good, but yeah, we'll see. CNBC. Even if we move up the premium, again, it's already been wild. Okay, you're popping off that. Yo, market's going to take that rumor. Look. Yeah, no. They're taking that. That's good China shit. I was waiting. I wanted to see what they were going to do. Go watch that call I told you earlier in the day. Go for that one. The sweet spot one. That's it. I'm going to take those. Yeah. All right. Then flip them. Don't get too excited. I'm even putting that on the stream alert. I'm even saying just, okay, they're already up. They're already moving. But I'm literally saying, what's it called? Just, it's positive rumor from China. Just don't fall in love with it. Just flip it. Make it free if you can. And then that's it. But don't don't, I wouldn't be too in love with that. It's just a rumor for now. You'll get your little reaction, and then that's it. Yeah, they already popped. See, but that's why I put out those plays, because I'm watching these. I was watching a call play from an hour ago, so that's it. Right when that hits, I just went straight to that. Boom. Yeah, it's already up 100. Make it free. CNBC. They're saying that Apple, they're willing to work. I think it's bullshit, but it doesn't matter. Like I'm saying, you saw it, market took it for a second, then went. And then that's what I'm saying. I already had a play I was eyeing. Boom, that already popped. That's it. I'm already out. That's it. I got now 1 or 2 free ones. And then keep riding, and then watch for the downside one too if we could get it. But see, I just want the TLT one, but we got to wait. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Like I said, just don't fall in love with that. Just flip that shit.
Like this, and we've lived through many cycles.
There will be one of these headlines that'll have more carry and follow through. You see what I'm saying? But this news is good, but I don't think I was like, oh my God, let's go run it up another 100 points. I think enough to get it moving, and then that's it. So yeah, they're already coming. The plays are still up though. Okay, see if that holds. We are getting some. Watch gold as well. Low ticker has a little bit more activity right now too. See, if you get another leg, those will keep holding up. Otherwise, after that, one more red down, and those plays will come back to where we got them. Listen, make them free, though. They're now like around 30 or 40. Still not bad, though. Well, that's what I'm saying, though. I think that Japan thing is going to come out today. And I don't know how we missed that, but Literally, that was the big driver yesterday. No one's talking about it. This is like reverse China news. You guys remember? So like literally yesterday, everybody ignores China, talks about Japan doing a deal, then China news hits again, and then we freak out. Now this morning, you have bad news, you gap down. We somehow found a way to gap up at cash open, but now we haven't heard anything about Japan or Korea. NASA nominee says he had no contact with Trump advisor Elon about how to run the agency. I forgot, Greer is still on.
We have to reshore pharmaceutical production to avoid the very situation you talked about. And we have to do it now. We can't wait for the next crisis. We can't wait for the next conflict. We have to do it now. I understand.
I think Japan would strengthen the yen, but that, I think there's more going on to it with right now. I don't know.
Tariffs that might apply to certain things.
Because remember, Japan has to deal with the inflation, the trade,
We have to make
correlation
sure
to
that
bonds,
tariff,
and then it's a global currency when global currencies are going crazy. But I think the bigger topic is whether or not we walk away with a positive trade deal.
Getting to the root causes of immigration, they did absolutely nothing to bring industry near shore, trying to prop up Caribbean nations so they won't have everybody trying to run over a border. Look, I've talked to you about
this is
Puerto
extended
Rico.
hours on
Puerto Rico
TLT. I'm going to keep that up.
There's so much of an opportunity to go there and onshore in an American territory to bring back American pharmaceutical industries, so many other industries that help us with our national security. And at the bottom line, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about national security. Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. I'll yield back.
Ms. Chu.
Ambassador Greer, my constituents are sick with worry about the high costs that the Trump tariffs will bring them. They are barely able to afford their everyday living expenses, but now they're hearing that the average family will have to pay $4,600 a year more because of the Trump tariffs. They are hearing this will be the largest tax increase for the American people in our nation's peacetime history. They are hearing Goldman Sachs say that we face a recession. The increases will be for food items that the U.S. does not produce domestically, like cacao beans, coffee beans, tea and spices, and certain nuts. But non-food items like clothing, consumer electronics, shoes, cell phones, furniture, and household appliances will be especially hard hit, as more than 50% of our consumption comes from countries facing tariff increases of 30% or more. I must point out that there are some items on the list like bananas and cacao beans, which the U.S. can never grow enough of to meet our own demand because of our mostly non-tropical climate. In fact, the U.S. produces a tiny number of bananas in Hawaii and Florida, but depends enormously on importing bananas from Guatemala, Ecuador, and Costa Rica, all of which receive tariffs.
You gotta love Guatemala.
The U.S. is the world's
You're
largest
coming back
importer
down. That
of
rumor
bananas.
wasn't enough.
So this shoot first, then aim approach is making Americans' lives much worse with no actual plan and doesn't make
Fed
any
Barkin
sense.
says price surges
I see
required
this in
Fed to be
three
cautious.
ways. First, the president said that these tariffs would bring manufacturing business back to America, but thousands of Americans were immediately laid off, and manufacturers are telling you that this will crush them. And why would the president impose this tariff tax on tropical countries when America can by far not produce their own bananas, coffee, and chocolate?
Barkin,
Is the
businesses
president
struggling
aware
with confidence.
that these crops only grow in tropical climates? Second, in imposing these tariffs, the president claims that the U.S. is being ripped off
The
by
rumor
other countries
faded.
that are
I heard,
profiting off
again,
of
we
us.
didn't really get too
Yet
jumpy
these
on it.
tariffs are
They
being
were just
imposed
saying
on countries
Apple is
with whom the U.S. has
is hearing
trade
good things from
surpluses,
China. That's it.
including the Netherlands, the UK,
They literally
Belgium,
rockets you up
Panama, and so on.
100%, plays her back down.
Using the formula that USTR released to the public to justify this chaos, no country with whom the U.S. has a trade surplus should be subject to additional tariffs. How can you and the president justify forcing the American people to pay more for goods from these countries that already import more of our goods than we do theirs? Third, then if there's an actual formula, why would the Trump administration decide to reserve its most
Okay,
severe
you're coming back
punishment
down.
not for Russia.
So keep in mind, you just had another one of these rumors. It was light, definitely. You could tell by the reaction, but do you not get it? This is now just, think about it. You were already going down. This changed the plan, the path, and then now, so think about it. You're going to have a little bit more hangover now on some of those contracts because now that contract is coming down, but it should be a lot lower, but that pop is going to hold it up a little bit. So watch out, though. That's already faded. I think we did good off of it, though. So hopefully you got your in and out or avoided it. Well, I don't think, I mean, a lot, and this is what I said, like, for real, I genuinely mean it. Like, look at the people when they talk, because you'll notice there's some who have to read and some who don't. And I know it's politics, but all I'm saying is that I don't think some of this outrage is, like, felt genuinely. But long story short, the status quo is changing, and people don't want that to happen. And it makes sense, because there's going to be winners and losers. I like some of it. I don't like some of it, but, you know, it's a big change. And that's where I think naturally people are going to be resistant to that, hence a lot of the theatrics. But like I said earlier, we're at a weird moment where it's like, yeah, there is a path to upside where there is a path where this doesn't end in death and destruction. However, it's already gotten to this point now where this is a big thing and it could be very bad. So you got to live in the contradiction and balance that out. But until we get more time and more results, everyone's going to keep being like this. So hence, this is why every day.
But because of these Trump tariffs, it is they who will have to pay the exorbitant costs of these actions, and that's not right.
Mr. Kustoff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for convening today's hearing, and thank you, Ambassador Greer, for appearing today.
Well, yeah,
Ambassador Greer,
I think it does.
represent part of Memphis, Tennessee.
Just see
and
if
most
he
of
looks down or
rural
not.
West Tennessee.
But I'm just saying, I genuinely
in Memphis,
believe
Tennessee, last year, 2024,
some of these people who are
we,
complaining about it
we had a great
on the
opportunity
political
with
level,
Elon
I
Musk
genuinely don't think
when
they
he made an
understand it.
announcement
Not
to,
all of it. And I think they
create a
understand the
historic
fear part
investment
and they understand
in
that
Memphis
part.
through
But
his company,
I genuinely
XAI.
believe there is
And the investment
there's,
will
again,
lead
because I would
to
be,
the
like, if
world's
I was a
largest
politician,
supercomputer called
I would be more
Colossus.
worried about deflation.
So
I would be telling my
Colossus is the
constituency
core
that's the
infrastructure
problem,
behind Grok, which
not
is the,
every other
artificial
thing to be
intelligence
outraged
system
about.
that Mr. Musk is developing or has developed and that I use and probably a lot of other people use. I've toured Colossus and frankly the capabilities.
Because that's what I'm saying. I've seen a lot of people blindly
What I
parrot
understand
this
with
idea
this project and with
that
Elon
tariffs
Musk
are
is
inflationary.
he places a
And although they
strong
are in the
emphasis
short
on
term,
sourcing American-made
at this
products
level,
with
history
XAI whenever
history is very
feasible,
clear. They're mad
demonstrating a
deflationary.
commitment to domestic
You don't
innovation.
get
The
this
issue
level of
is that
tariffs,
supercomputers,
and then you get inflation.
like Colossus,
you get
depend
deflation.
on a variety of advanced components that right now are not produced in the United States. And I think we can all agree that we want the United States to be the absolute leader when it comes to AI. The other issue is the reliance presents obvious and serious strategic vulnerabilities because a disruption in the supply chain
Yeah,
could
TGO, that's going.
hinder U.S. capabilities. So I understand that the entire industry is working on building domestic capacity. And thanks to President Trump and his efforts and the efforts of the administration, we've seen massive investments from companies like NVIDIA and Taiwan Semiconductors. But I think we all also realize that that transition is going to be several years, or it's going to take several years. So could you talk about how USTR is balancing the near-term need for components with the long-term goal of onshoring these?
Okay, you're right. You've only been here twice today. If we go lower, again, you're below the 5,000,
the president took his
4970.
reciprocal trade,
So just be on the
there were
lookout
some
here if we break.
items that were not covered by the new tariff. because further investigation was needed. This includes pharmaceuticals, as I've discussed, but it also includes semiconductors. And so many semiconductors are not covered by the reciprocal tariff because the Commerce Department, as I understand it, is looking into doing a further investigation to see where tariffs may or may not be appropriate on semiconductor chips or the downstream components. And that's something I know that the Commerce Department is looking at very closely.
Thank you, Ambassador. If I can, because there's been a lot of talk here, some talk about Russia and the suggestions that the Trump administration has let Russia off the hook when it comes to tariffs. My recollection is that this committee, several years ago, took the lead on bipartisan legislation to change the trade treatment as it relates to Russia, specifically revoking the permanent normal trade relations, specifically banning the import of all energy products from Russia, specifically by providing a path to raise tariffs on many other products from Russia. So in fairness, I know that both the Biden administration and the Trump administration have added to this legislation by imposing a wide range of sanctions on Russia, which cut off most of trade and investment. So my question to you is, would any Russian exporter feel that it has better access to the United States market than our non-sanctioned trading partners who may face higher tariffs right now?
Oh, no, by no means. Russia is subject to a very high tariff due to the good work you did here in Congress, as well as other kind of bad actors that fall into that category.
Bipartisan.
On a bipartisan basis, that's right. Yep.
Thank you, Ambassador. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Ms. Moore.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Ambassador, for visiting with us. I'll have to say that I have really appreciated the discussion that we've had here today with our colleagues, and as is always the case with me, I have remarks that are planned, and then I make the mistake of listening to what other people have said. And I really do want to agree with some of the things that my colleagues have said, like Mr. Schmucker and Mr. Kelly, that we need, and you, Mr. Ambassador, have said that we need to have access to markets. Specifically, Mr. Kelly said, we can't afford to lose any market share, and I agree with him. He went on to say that we need to level the playing field. Mr. LaHood talked about his soybean farmers in Illinois, and I'm from Wisconsin, sir, and so I do know that we have $1.3 billion worth of soybean product, and our main partner is with China. And so I think Wisconsin farmers, that's just one example of how we are at risk of losing market share. And then Mr. Doggett went on to say how, you know, instead of allowing, like my soybean farmers to do that, what we would revert to would be to give them welfare. And I guess I don't agree with that characterization. I don't even agree with it as a characterization of a subsidy, because it's actually a ripoff. You know, farmers lost about $27 billion in the first Trump administration, and they only got about $23 billion in subsidy return. So they lost money, they lost market share, and they lost lives. You know, in Wisconsin, there was a study done, and they looked at suicide rates, and suicide rates among farmers are like 3.5 times more than in other professions. It's a very stressful career. And so I am very concerned, and I wonder what's going to happen to them. You haven't said to us, I think you sort of skirted the question about whether or not we were going to give them subsidies. But even if we would give them subsidies, that would not prevent them from losing market share. And farmers want,
doesn't Mohawk deal with commodities?
They want to be able to farm. I also wonder, sir.
That chain has nothing.
What, you know,
yeah, Mohawk, 1% pop.
I think that when you look at
very
trade
illiquid
deficits,
chain.
I think we have to look at more than just what a tariff may or may not do. Our trade imbalances over time have been caused by us not having.
But I'm pretty
a
sure they
trade
deal with like
balance
food and shit, right?
Issue of
And
labor
commodities,
laws,
or am I tripping?
making sure that there's no slave labor and child labor, that the environment is protected when we extract materials and do stuff, that people have the ability to bargain in their countries and to make sure that they get a wage that's commensurate with their efforts. And, you know, I agree with Mr. Kelly that we need to level the playing field on those fields, and that a rising tide will lift
Commercial
all boats.
flooring products.
I do
Never.
wonder, Mr.
Yeah, I'm way off. You know, they do
Ambassador,
flooring.
whether this administration's trade policy, and it seems that it does.
Can I get
my
order
colleague
of
here just
hardwood
mentioned the
with
trade
fries on
deficit
the
that
side?
we have with Madagascar.
Thank you.
I had the privilege to go on a trip with the committee to Madagascar, where there was a 75% poverty rate. So I'm wondering if they will ever be able to give us a trade balance. Speaking of Madagascar, they belong to AGOA. And I'm wondering if this administration's policies would eliminate something that's been bipartisan, the trade preference programs that we've had under AGOA. Yes or no? Are we going to have an AGOA?
So, Congresswoman,
Yeah.
thanks for your
AGOA.
remarks. Well, it's up to Congress. Congress has to decide if they're
No,
going
up to the
renew.
president. He's in charge of trade. We've sort of.
Do you have a bill? I haven't seen the bill yet on this. If there's a bill, I'll advise the president accordingly on how we should approach it.
Okay, I'll just say one last question to you. You say that we have got to reshore manufacturing. You did not say where folks will get the money and the confidence, really.
Hey, yo,
to
Pin
make
Duo
these
Duo.
investments. Is any of the money that you
Watch
plan to get
Amazon,
from
or if there's
tariffs
something
gonna
on
be
the De
targeted
Minimis.
to incentivizing manufacturing? I've got a factory that made car frames, A.O. Smith. 10,000 people working there. When are we going to reopen A.O. Smith, sir? If the chairman.
I would love to reopen that. And
when will I be alive? I'm going to be 74 in 9 days.
I hope so. We should go there, you and I, and talk to them about what they need in order to reopen. We put tariffs in place.
I mean,
on
they've been
foreign autos and
shuttered
auto
for
parts.
years.
We want to create incentives so they can reopen.
What's the timeline between the suffering that they're doing now and when A.O. Smith is going to open again?
Part of the problem is we've offshored jobs for so long, and no one's taken action. We've sat
A.O.
on it. We have this
Smith
huge-
made
it is an
frames for the
emergency, and I
Model
agree with
T?
you. I
Really?
think your comments have been very
That's a fun
thoughtful.
fact.
I don't have that much time. I mean, I'll be 74 in a few days. It's 10 years. It takes a long time.
Okay, you've told us
to
twice.
Open up a factory.
She won a birthday
Get
gift.
the investments.
That's why the
And
president.
She won a birthday
be 10
gift for
years?
sure.
How long before we just have to be patient?
That's why the president's acting now, because we can't wait anymore. We have to reshore now.
Now, like a microwave now. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I yield back.
Thank you. I'll recognize myself for questions. Ambassador, thank you for calling and consulting with me before a lot of these trade agreements. So I appreciate the correspondence there because you have,
Macy's.
Yo,
why is this going up?
To just raise the significance that I believe AGOA has for this country.
Again,
and those trade
Macy's is
preferences
unknown
for
their
those
exposure
African
to
nations from a security perspective.
what's it called? We don't know
is
their exposure with the
extremely
Vietnam
important,
shit.
And I hope that the administration continues to see from a security perspective that trade preferences with those African countries is extremely important.
Well, Chairman, I will certainly share your views with the president, and I've shared them before with others in the White House. And I understand the importance of AGOA to this committee and Congress, and I would encourage the committee, as you look at it and potential renewal, to think about ways to improve it.
And I would love to work with you all.
Core
to make sure
weave
that we
under
can
IPO?
do
No
that.
way.
It's just very important. I also, I've heard a lot of conversations today, and one thing that I appreciate is Secretary Bessent's comments that I've read, that he says over the last 4 decades, Wall Street got very wealthy. But over the next 4 years, it's Main Street's turn. Woo! And that's in fact who the president's been fighting for.
I like
It's
that.
for all those
You guys know that? I like
in
that.
Southeast Missouri.
I'm sorry. I
in
know
rural
I
America,
make a fortune
that
off the
their-
market, but
their place
I'm
of
all about
employment
this.
is now
You know
vacant.
that, right?
My mother
I don't know
was
if you
one of
guys
those
realize it.
individuals. I have numerous family members that's one of those individuals. And
No, for
people
real,
will
bro.
talk
That's why
about
I
their
like the news
401ks.
coming back to how it is. I don't like.
But the reality
for real,
is,
bro.
is that the top
Bring it back to
10%
mainstream.
own 88% of all the stock market.
Mm-hmm.
The top 10. Then the next roughly 12%, as the secretary has said, the next 12% ownership of the stock market is the next 40%. So that bottom 50%, the people who make less than $42,000 a year,
Amen.
those people, they're worried about their debt,
Amen.
their credit card payments, their interest rates.
Amen.
And that is who President Trump is fighting for in bringing more jobs,
did nail it.
manufacturing, open up factories, and coming down here. And I want to thank you for standing here. I want to thank you for working.
So I'm saying,
for
some of y'all getting mad
this
about. I'm like,
cause.
wait a
And
minute.
I think it's extremely important, and it will be
Do you have more
transformational.
stocks
It
than
may
me?
be
Why are you
bumpy
getting
for
so
a while,
mad?
But it's about time Main Street.
Because this is only rich people
Main
who are
Street is
losing off
representative
of a
instead of Wall
decline like
Street.
this.
I
Yeah,
wanna-
everybody in
I wanna ask
401ks,
you a few
but
questions about the European Union.
Why did
As
your
you know, I've
401k
shared
manager
my
buy that much
opinion about the
NVIDIA?
European Union,
But that's another
and how
topic.
disappointed I am of how they've taken advantage of U.S. farmers and U.S. agricultures. I heard him say that they're willing to lower their tariffs on industrial goods. That's not good enough, Ambassador. They have to address their non-tariff barriers when it comes to agriculture goods. The country of Honduras purchases more pork than the entire European Union. And there's only 10 million people there. There's 450 million people in the European Union. And then you look at the country of Angola, one of those African countries. They purchase more chicken from us than the entire European Union. And the European Union has a GDP times 200 of that in Angola. These are
This
trade
is kill
problems.
Tony if he didn't get
And
into
this
comedy.
administration better continue to fight for the American farmer.
If Kill Tony
that
took the
Missouri
political
farmer
route, this is
who's
him.
been screwed for such a long time by our friends.
And he's not looking down. Look.
And I want to thank
He
the
does not
president. I
need
wanna
to
thank you
read
for
off of
continuing with it.
something to
I
tell
do
you
wanna
the
ask
outrage
you,
of the truth.
Do you
Think about
agree
that.
that there's a serious
Eye
trade problem
contact.
when it comes to agriculture and the European Union?
Yes, Chairman, it's fundamentally unfair. It's structurally unfair. It has been for decades.
Okay, you're
I've been very
ripping, but not
clear
off
with them
that.
That any kind of agreement or negotiation.
gold
or
going up
anything
with it too,
has
though.
to have an ag component for all the reasons you described.
Super important. Last year, I requested the International Trade Commission to complete a detailed study
He's
of the
looking down now.
competitiveness of the U.S. rice
Yeah.
industry, with a particular focus on the ways that unfair subsidies.
This is his rice
and other
lobbyist
practices
question.
in other rice-producing countries
All of a
harm
sudden, he starts looking
American
down.
rice farmers by distorting markets and
He's not as
reducing
passionate about
export
rice.
opportunities. The study was completed earlier this year, and I was not
his donor.
surprised to learn that India is one of the worst offenders. Its subsidies and particularly are particularly problematic because of the lack of transparency around some of them. Do you share my concerns with unfair practices in India and elsewhere that harm
Are they
American
really your
rice
concerns?
farmers? And will you attempt to address these issues
That
through
big rice,
any
baby, big rice.
negotiations with India?
Made its way
Yes,
into
I
Congress.
will. And as you know, Chairman, I'm from Northern California, from rice country there too, so I'm particularly sensitive to that.
Appreciate it. Thank you for being here. Mr. Boyle.
You want is about to
Thank you,
strengthen.
Mr. Chair, and
That's
and
good.
thank you, Ambassador, for being here today.
Yeah. So maybe watch. There might be a good China development, a reverse of yesterday. So you guys remember, it was around this time, I think. Remember I was telling you, the yuan is weakening, and then we had the bad rumor. So now you just got the yuan strengthening even more over the last couple of hours. So every time we tested the low, the yuan weakened. Every time we start going up, the yuan strengthened. So now it's moving, but watch out. You might have a good China brewing. I'm just guessing, okay? There's no headlines, no nothing, but I'm just spitballing there because that is moving with it all. So be on the lookout. Walmart, is he still talking? The CFO is all day this morning.
caused by the president's policies. The last week has been an unmitigated disaster. Markets are roiled, retirement savings taking a hit, 401ks becoming 201ks. People are genuinely scared, especially those, including a couple I talked to yesterday, who are just hitting retirement age.
Fire your 401k managers.
So I would really like to know why exactly the president is doing this. China, I completely understand. I think
again, I'll show you literally. Here's my long term. One of my biggest drops. I had to pay for this too. I just went negative by $2,000 from the beginning of this year. The stock market came back to April. Our long terms didn't give up a year. Your 401k did not give up a year. And if it did, it's because your 401k manager was irresponsible. That's it. I cannot blame anybody else but that. I hate to break it to you guys. So even with I lost $20,000 in 2 days. But I did not. You're not giving. Why is the SPY down a full year? What do you mean your fucking 401k? Oh my gosh, blame Donald Trump for it. What do you mean? Like I'm saying, I would blame the portfolio managers and the banks and the same people now who are telling you, oh, well, now this is bad and now Powell can't do anything after you justified a rate cut ahead of an election. So, yeah.
Chaos. I represent a very working class district.
Exactly. Why are you fucking... you mean to tell me
I
you're
don't
near
think there's
retirement
one person
and your
in my
401k
district
manager
who
had you
counts
in
as
that
one of the
NVIDIA?
top 1% of Americans.
It doesn't make sense.
Hardworking families, whether white, black, Hispanic, Asian, from Northeast Philly to North Philly to the River Wards, are all being directly impacted by what is happening over the last week. So I want to know, they want to know.
No, I mean, I'll just take their time and I'll rant at you, man. No, if you didn't forget about the election, you need to. Because this is what I'm saying, where I was trying to tell y'all, I don't want a rate cut right now. I'm just telling you, I noticed days ago, I'm like, dude, something snapped. This isn't normal. That's why anybody will look me in the eyes and tell me that, oh yeah, a rate cut before the election, go ahead, spitball whatever idea you want at me. That wasn't appropriate. Most people would agree with that. You don't cut rates ahead of the election, right? Fine. But now, you mean to tell me you're on the borderline of your bond market about to break, and now those same people are telling you no. Oh, no, we can't do a rate cut at all. Oh, that would be even Nick Timmerhouse, for crying out loud. It's ridiculous, you guys. That's what I'm saying. That's not the, is it the intellectual integrity? Is that the word I'm looking for? It doesn't stand. Because I'm like, there's no way you could tell me there's a preemptive cut 60 days ahead of an election when all of the data was fine. Everything was fine. But now you are blowing up a bond market. And now there's no, no, we can't do that. Add that to everything else. Like I'm telling you, go ahead, make a reaction about the stock market. The people who gave up a lot, it's because they all in full ported NVIDIA. And the people who didn't have NVIDIA had to watch the whole time. So what are we talking about here? I think things are going to change and you're just shifting around the winners and losers. But to be this outraged, like, I get it now. I get a lot. I'll tell you guys, hearing this, I'm sad. I'm sad listening to this right now. I feel sadness and I feel frustration. I get you guys now. I apologize for all of the times I didn't understand. Okay? No, because for real. Because I watch these people right now and I hear everything they're saying. And all I have in my mind right now is I'm like, man, if you guys just reacted like this when they were printing $4 trillion and house prices were fucking doubling and tripling and insurance rates and gas, and when some people had the hardest time of their lives because of price instability as a reaction of policy, If if they were out there holding signs up that said, you stole this, you steal this, Americans have to pay for this, I can't, dude, that's why I'm like, that's very frustrating, because now there's clearly a damage going on now and people are getting frustrated, even though we're substantially higher and better than where we've been at other times. But I'm like, dude, that's insanity. Because I'm watching the outrage and I'm like, none of you guys said anything. I look like a madman telling y'all get rich off of inflation, and I was telling you buy a house, and then I had to watch people I talk to every day get fucking priced out of a market because they're normal working Americans. And I have fucking Mary Dolly going up telling you $500,000 a year is fine and she doesn't feel inflation. And now 80% of rich people felt this shit, and now they're all clamoring and getting outraged? Oh, come on, you guys. So, yeah, I don't know. But that's not, something about it just doesn't, I don't know. It does not rub me the right way, because I recognize the damage right now, and I don't think, I don't agree with everything Donald Trump has done. Make no mistake, and I think I've told you guys immediately once I have felt that, it does, and like I told you, this trade policy is objectively big and large and can be bad, but dude, this doesn't, I don't think it changes all of this, where I'm like, I don't know why people are being this dishonest and being so like rah, 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 about all of it, when I'm like, where was it? Where were you when I needed you? Where were you when I had to watch everybody get priced out of a home? Why weren't you representing your constituents there? Yeah, now's not good, and this could be very bad, and Donald Trump has a responsibility to not lose control of this situation. And if he does, I think that would be very bad. And like I'm telling you, I'm more worried about the bond market and deflation hurting everybody than anything now. But that's why I'm like, I don't understand, or I do get it. I think it's a lot of politics motivating it, but yeah, bro, this isn't, I wish they were this mad earlier, but now it's like, I'm seeing people, again, the worry is deflation, bro. The worry is that the economy collapses. The worry is not, prices go up. No, the worry is that this gets out of hand, but I don't know why we're, again, every time they're representing the thing that doesn't matter. It's like prices were rocketing up. They said it's fine. No, let's spend more money on clean energy. Now the prices go down and they're telling you be worried about prices going up. And now we're going to attack this policy. And it's like, what? So, I don't know, man. We're in peak volatility, but yeah, politicians suck.
And we can see it from
all
the
the
first
time,
term,
not just
when we
now,
imposed
all the
tariffs
time.
on China in an effort to get them to change their unfair trading practices.
We're waiting
When
for the
that
bond
happened, we
auction.
saw
That's
our trade deficit.
the bond auction today is borderline critical, because if it does not perform well, you're already hearing people like me telling you, yo, this is not good. So if this bond auction at 10 a.m. In about 30 minutes, if that's not good, we're going to have a lot more fear injected into the credit markets, and that could have a lot more implications. But if it comes in good, it'll just confuse everybody even more. But then it'll be good because the bonds aren't dying. But if you have a failed auction today, I don't know, when was the last time you had a failed auction? 08, 2010 maybe? So
Think
yeah,
about
it's
power
not a
in
good
different
sign.
way. Some politicians want, foreign countries to say nice things about them. That's like their end purpose in foreign policy or trade policy. President Trump wants the right thing for Americans, and sometimes it means you have to stand up for yourself, draw a line in the sand, and say, we're not going to do this anymore.
What would you say for the first time in decades, American workers have a president who fights for them, not for multinational corporations or foreign bureaucrats?
That's exactly right, Congressman. That's why workers voted for him. That's why unions support the tariff actions. That's why we see, op-eds in the newspaper about union presidents wanting to work with President Trump on trade. That's why we're seeing all of that change, that realignment.
And I'll end with this. What evidence have you seen that President Trump's tariffs are driving jobs back to the United States and helping to rebuild our manufacturing base?
Well, for example, the auto tariffs that were imposed, we've already seen that one company
Thank you,
is
and I
increasing
appreciate it.
employment
All you guys
through
who signed
temporary
up, thank you.
employment. In Indiana, we've seen in Tennessee, there was a shift that was going to go down to another country. They kept that shift in America. Everyone knows.
Oh yeah,
if you want
wait, fuck.
certainty, if
I
you-
got to do it again. Let me try one more time. Yo, buy a membership, you guys. Okay, because we're going to go to Philo in about 30 minutes right after the bond auction. I'm going to disappear for a little bit. So buy a membership, okay? Because I said this yesterday, and every time I would, you guys would do it. So I'm going to try this until it stops working. So thank you. And honestly, I loved it because I got an email yesterday. This was after the market, so I read it. I don't read anything during the market anymore, you guys. But it was a hate email. He sent me a good email first, but I think it's very interesting because he called me a greedy fuck. And I agree. That's kind of what I've been trying to tell you guys this whole time. Stop being naive. You are in the fucking stock market. I better be greedy. Otherwise, I'm not good at my job. Do you understand? That's why I was telling you, I want you to go read a Bible on your own. Stop going to a greedy stock market kid and thinking that's your church. It's not. So, amen. I want you guys to be built up. I don't want you to be naive. I want you to be the best you could be. And unfortunately, if I have to wake you up to this reality, that's fine with me. I did profit off of it, but at the end of the day, I have a good intention. But if you thought I was walking around with no greed, what are you saying? That's a naive outlook. I did not build a long-term. I did not do this stuff at the age of 14 and stuck with it, not motivated by a personal self-interest. And I need some of you to get your self-interest and start thinking about your self-interest. Do you understand me? Because if you did that, you would see some of the stuff that I see. And you would start looking at some of these things and asking yourself, do I support that or not? Is that good for me and my community or not? And I heavily encourage you to give back and help out as much as you can. But you have to have your own self-interest, and do not be naive. When you enter this world of money, bro, from these damn chat rooms to the fucking news and everywhere you go, bro, they all want your fucking money. Do you understand? So I don't care if I'm being transparent about it, but I don't want you guys getting fooled. What do you think? You think you're walking up to these guys on Wall Street and they're like, here, let me help you. No, they want to fuck you, bro. It's just like being a pretty girl. I'm sorry, guys. You already know the vibe. So stop playing around. Don't be naive. Head on a swivel. Protect yourself. Save your money. Don't believe anybody until you verify it and get evidence for yourself. So I'll try to help and I'll give you info, but amen. But don't be naive, bro. You are in the fucking jungle, especially now when all this shit's going down. Now what's their incentive to be straightforward with you? Yeah, exactly. So, like I said, man, be about it or not, but you should make up your mind and be aware of all this. But yeah, be careful, man. And that's why I'm saying if you could notice my greed, amen. But I hope you see it everywhere. And you should use that to move a little different and move a little wiser right now. I really hope that could help you all. So, amen, bro. Amen. So thank you for signing up. I can't believe it worked again today, too. Amen. So, yeah, we'll go to Philo after the bond auction, though. I'll stick around until the bond auction. We'll see if it fails or not, and then we'll go from there, man. Google Gemini 2.5 is available in AI Studio, says Sundar. Just subscribe. Well, let's go, man. And good, you started a long-term, man. This might be a good ass moment. It's at least better than some other ones, you know. But and that's the thing too. Like I said, unfortunately, I believe in my long-term plan. I always do, and it's good. It's objectively good, and it has been good. But like I said, it's just like this could all disappear very quickly. Otherwise, we should seriously, you got to be ready. Anything could happen, and it might not. There is a scenario where this could be terrible. So, but no matter what, if you have a long-term plan, you are saving and you are sticking with it. I mean, just like we've done the last 5 years, you know, you'll find a way to ride it out. But got to have a plan, and you got to stick with it. So, yalla. Let's go. Yeah, Twitch even showing some love too, baby. All the members. So thank you guys, for real. See, it all just started with the thank you. That's it. He shouted me out. He said thank you. He had to join. And I told you one of the bad things. And then, yeah, now it's good. All full circle, baby. Yeah, you're not going to buy the top here. That's at least one of the good signs of starting a long term. You are not at the top, and I like that. You know that, right? Because every other time, you don't remember, guys? Stop it. Y'all don't remember. Y'all don't remember. Let me take you back. I'm going to take you back a good 3 months ago. Do you guys not remember 3 months ago? And I had to remind you all to not buy the plays that I'm up on. You remember that, right? And I was like yelling at some of you, and you thought I was angry, or you thought I lost money that day, or whatever, fill in the blank about what you judged me as, right? It was just 3 months ago. And I was hammering it home. I said, do not buy the plays that I'm up on. And you got to be careful for it. Just 3 months ago. And then do you remember what I was telling you too? And I was like, this is the part that it's bittersweet. There was something bittersweet. Market hits all-time highs. Our long-term hits all-time highs. What's the problem? Everybody wants to make a long-term when it gets to all-time highs. And that's the problem, because I was trying to tell you, I was like, so be careful. Because I was like, a lot of you now want to start. And that's why I said, don't buy the names I'm up on. And then go with the names that are down on the year. You don't remember that? It was before any of this. And I pulled up a chart, and we started going on all the names that were down 20%. I did not want you to buy expensive shit. So, fast forward till today now, it's a lot easier to tell you guys different things now because, one, a lot of names are cheaper. Some names are still expensive. But now you're not starting at the high. Now nobody wants to start a long term. You see what I'm saying? But that's the bittersweet silver lining right now, is that at the very least you're not starting at a top. And I like that. Because again, I was getting bombarded. Everybody wanted a long term right here. They want a long term right here. And then they want to buy the other stuff. I'm like, that's what you got to watch out for. You got to plan. You got to start with the cheap ones. But now you've given up a whole year of gains. Ta-da. Mina. Yeah, I was looking at it. Yeah, maybe. All right, you know what? I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. I still think it could go lower. But I kind of want to start the ETF account right now. 500 flat. Give up a whole year of gains. Go back in time with the year. But I still think it could go lower, but I also think this is a good price too. You know why? Because then when we track it, we could see what happens if you made a long term here now versus not. So I kind of just want to see what would happen. No, I already have the account. It's the random account. Remember, I just stopped doing the options on it. So I think it has $1,000 in it. Remember, I started this with 500 or 200. So we 5x the random account. And then, yeah, I just stopped playing with it coming into this year. That's why I said I wanted to start this ETF thing, but then the market just kept going higher. You guys don't remember? I told you this idea months ago. I said I want to start it, but I was like, I don't know. Because some of you, I was like, yeah, a SPY might be easier. I'm not against it. It's lower on my list. But then I was like, I'm not buying an index at the highest price ever. What's wrong with you guys? So this is still one of the highest prices ever. But yeah, it's just now you've given up that whole year. We've at least gone. But then I wanted to wait because remember the curve uninverted and we cut rates. So how much can I get? I don't even think I could. Can you buy a half a share or no? Because I can't afford one share. I could only buy like half. Will it let me? RH, big pop. Yeah, good call. Please hold. Yeah, remember Restoration and your girl Marjorie yesterday. She bought in. I like the RH if you get them in time. They kind of already doubled. If you could snake a low one, you'll be good. Carney says if he wins April 28th, the government will develop clean and lowest carbon conventional energy. Damn, we got a hype train too. What up, Twitch? God bless y'all. Yeah, RH move in. That's 1.5. I can't find anything. But yeah, the other day I gotta move like that. Hit 100%. The options are down to move, but just be careful of that first pop. There's one mad far out the money on the weekly that hasn't popped yet. There's actually one play. Okay, now it's gone. Someone took it. Oh, CNBC. That's what it was? I don't know. I don't know if I might not be able to start it. If I can't buy half a share, I can't buy the SPY. Should we try it? 0.5. Commission cannot be calculated. Yeah, fractional. Oh. The Lord said no. I don't know. I just got the idea to because I was just telling you. This is like a real life talk. That's it. I mean, I've been here every single day. And like, I don't know what you guys think I'm telling you. But, you know, I don't know. Someone just said it. And I'm like, you know, you're right. At least they're not starting at a top. And I love that. Because every other time people wanted me to do this, it was literally the highest price ever. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I was like, nah, I don't think that's a good idea. And I'd rather go for individuals. But yeah, that's why it just literally, I'm like, you know what? 500, this is the scale point. I already told you there's multiple banks. They're scaling in at 500. The real cash is going to come in at like 4,800. But other than that, you know, like I'm saying, at least we waited. I still think it could go lower. I wanted to start the ETF account after the uninversion and then the real pullback, but I like 500. It's not bad. It's not good, but it's not bad. Does that make sense? It's very adequate. Do I think this is the best price to start at? No. Do I think it's a better price than the high? Yeah. Fish squeeze. Well, welcome, man. All the members, bro. That's it. All I had to do is ask, so I appreciate y'all, man. Thank you. Oh, will Schwab let you do it on the platform? I mean, hey, if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. $500 could get you 2-3 shares of AbbVie. Oh, I know. I know. I would get some NVIDIA. You just don't like the price. That's it. I'm going to log into Schwab. I want to see if I can. No. Well, if it doesn't work, it's not meant to be. That means I'll have to make a new account. Because I thought I was going to be able to do this, but I guess not. Let's see. A new firm on his requirements. His requirement was read The Richest Man of Babylon. Oh, love you, baby. I'm glad to hear you're doing good, man. Fuck yeah. It's a good book, man. It's a good fucking book. Just, they don't feel me. Yeah, you could do it on Schwab. You just have to you have to do their slices thing. Yeah, I might have to make a Fidelity, bro. That sucks. So I guess it's not meant to be, bro. Yeah, you can't even buy it. No, man, it's not going to work. I have to make a new account. That sucks. Boo. No, I would have just bought SPY. I would have started the first scaling. I would have put $200 and then we would have added $200 every month. But it may take time. Like I was saying, I think it could still go lower. And I still like the a la carte, but I think I want to see what would happen if you started an account here. And like I've been saying, for months, bro, I was trying to, I don't know. Did you guys think I was crashing out? Because I was telling you, bro, I would yell at people and say, why? You guys don't remember me banning you guys for insisting on buying a stock above what I paid for it? I remember because I felt bad but now I don't. Literally, I would ban you after I was trying to make it clear. And mother effers would keep insisting on buying stocks higher. I would ban them. Now look at it. But that's what I'm saying is at the very least, I like that we're not at a top. And I know a lot of you have always asked when I would do an ETF account. So at the very least, I think 100-something points off top is a decent starting point. Not the best, not the worst. Adequate is enough to make millions. Adequate, brother. Adequate. What happened to Mumu? I banned him like every other hoe that didn't uphold the standards. So, very simple. I have zero loyalty. Okay? Unless your name is Jesus Christ. Or you gave birth to me. What? Yeah, I know. Welcome. That's it. I'm only loyal to principles. You follow principles, you're with me. You don't, I can't fuck with you. What do you want me to do? How's the cyber? Good. We've less attacks. No Cybertruck attacks in the last 2 weeks. I love it. That's it. It went from everybody talking about Tesla, then the whole entire market comes down. And then, yeah, that's it. Now we're all here. Mm-hmm. Go with FZ. No, I want SPY. That would be the one I would do. That was my plan. No, bro, for real. People just stopped. I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, everybody just stopped attacking the Cybertruck. Yeah, NVIDIA pop. Zelensky, 155 Chinese fighting. I don't see anything. Again, bond auction in 15 minutes. So don't be fooled. Whatever's going to happen here, you're about to get hit with a wall somewhere. You get what I'm saying? So Chad's saying NVIDIA news. I don't see it yet. I'm checking, but it is popping. You got NVIDIA up about 70 cents. CNBC. Oh, is it just another buy?
Is to not ban NVIDIA's H20 AI chips to
backs
China.
off
These are
NVIDIA
specialized chips
crackdown.
that have been under regulatory scrutiny for months, of a lot of concerns that they were going to get
Mar-a-Lago
banned,
CEO
creating
dinner.
uncertainty with a lot of analysts. This also explains why many
All right,
Chinese
watch.
cloud service providers have been aggressively placed.
So think about it. That's either going to hit immediately or it's going to hit after the bond auction, or you're going to react to this news randomly tomorrow. Keep that in mind.
for any restrictions. And so what we're hearing today is that those restrictions are not going to come anytime soon. This is according to NPR. NVIDIA is declining to comment. Keep in mind, though, this front running will help earnings for NVIDIA. The problem is it sustainable? And if the United States is not going to ban these chips, China can still ban these chips, right? Because Huawei is stepping up with their game in the chip world as well.
All right, Christina, thank you. Christina Partsenevelos. We'll keep our eyes there, of course. Bob Pisani has today's ETF Edge. Hey, Bob.
Good to see you, Scotty. Inflows into bond funds have been strong all year and have been accelerating since the big market drop. The ETF industry is developing new products to help investors generate steady income from their bond portfolio. Let's talk with Nate Conrad. He's the head of LifeX, and LifeX ETFs is a suite of longevity income ETFs. Nate, I know you follow bond flows very carefully. Big inflows from investors seeking a safe haven. But
hey, yo, Carney.
Confounded by this recent rise in yields. What is your take on what's happening?
Carney on energy and mining.
Two big things on the bond market's mind right now. One is
that's the NVIDIA one. NVIDIA has declined to comment. So it is a rumor from the Trump dinner, but they declined to comment. Source is NPR. And then Canada Carney says government would set up office to issue decision on whether to go ahead with major mining and energy projects after single review. And then that's it. All right.
But without the volatility we're seeing in the market.
NVIDIA rumor, it's right above you. Trump admin backs off crackdown.
You call them longevity income ETFs. What do they do, and why are they right for investors that are nervous about the turmoil in the equity market right now?
So they're a really simple way to create reliable monthly income, low cost, tax efficient, buy and sell. And it's built on the idea of buying bonds and holding them to maturity.
Yeah,
so
bro. Starbucks gave up all of that. That's crazy.
And you're not exposed to these markets.
So Starbucks is on the list now, but
we're showing here that's the 2035.
I low-key want them a lot cheaper.
10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years. But looking at the 10-year maturity for a $100,000 investment, you get an annual payout of roughly 10%. That's consisting of 4% from the yield and about 6% from the distribution of principal for the next 10 years. So right now, this pans out, I'm looking at your website, to $950 a month for 10 years. And what happens here if interest rates change? I mean, are you actually getting the same amount every month?
That's exactly the goal. We're going to go out and we're going to try and lock in the current interest rate market. We're going to turn that into reliable monthly cash flows for you and let you enjoy the benefits of both the interest and the principal in that reliable monthly cadence for the next decade in that LDDR ticker.
And of course, people need to understand that after 10 years, the principal is distributed. So essentially, the $100,000 goes away because you're collecting the principal, right?
Exactly. That's why we're able to offer such a high level of cash flow, because it's interest and principal. And that's a great way to do it if you're investing in a taxable account, because the principal's tax-free.
Very interesting new idea here. We're going to have a lot more coming up on how
Sounds like a Ponzi scheme, but I'm down. All right, let's see. So you put your money in this box, and then we give you the cash flow from your own money. I cash flow your own cash flow so you could get the yield and the principal tax-free. What? I'll take two. Give me two. I'll take two of them. With a tariff. J&J, they're dead early. Oh, my gosh, bro. That's the second time in this month. This shit's been down 7%, 5%, and then it bounces. Wow. Okay, SPY trying to move. You guys realize what's happening, right? Do you not? You're moving a little bit. This is the final move ahead of the bond auction. So in a weird way, bond auction might even be a clearing event. Now NVIDIA's going up. You got that rumor. But again, bonds are now going down too. But yeah, dude, this is your 10-minute rigged. 10 more minutes, we have the bond auction, results in 12. But yeah. And then Canada's Carney says we're not pursuing austerity that'll leave us dangerously dependent and reliant on the U.S. Clearing event is usually like when there's like a big event and everyone's like, oh, non-farm, CPI, bond auction. Then the event happens. No matter what the results, just now that the event is over, the volatility just decreases naturally. Because now the anticipation goes out the window, and then now it's just all about results. Yeah, Intel going up too. Again, a lot of things like low-key moving. Tesla, everybody's waking up now. Again, bonds down, auction in 10 minutes. SPY all of a sudden is now making its move. So think about that. I think we're going to move here the next 10 minutes, and then whatever the bond auction does, that'll give you your final one until we get a trade headline. So good luck. 501 on the spot. 5029 on SPX. Got the two. That's a 3-year badge, bro. Welcome. Well, is it 2-year? I thought it was 3-year. Oh, wait, which one is it? No, I think that's a 3-year, bro. Oh, Pop Monster, welcome. Welcome. Peach is the 3-year. But how exciting? Oh, I'm no apologies. I've been excited, man. That's it. Just don't worry, though. I mean, I hope genuinely, like, again, I think there's some stuff that you should be concerned about. I'm not being naive, and I don't think you should either. You know, like, this could be bad in many ways, but this could also disappear overnight. So, but this is a moment. I wouldn't stress yourself out, and as long as you don't, like, get flustered, you're going to run into an opportunity in the next couple years. I think a really good one. So that's why I think be excited. You should be, rightfully so. It doesn't mean you won't be scared at times, but I think there's many things to be, you know, excited about, or maybe tension is the word. A little bit of both. $10-year, no. A bullish auction would be, so what's going to happen on the auction is that they're going to issue a when issued, a WI. So right at 10, at the top of the hour, we'll get details on when issued. That will be the rate prior to the auction, right? So they're going to be like, when issued will be like 4.5, let's say. So then 2 minutes later, the results will come out. If the results are lower than the when issued, that will be bullish. So if the when issued was 4.5 and then it comes in at 4.45, TLT in the market will rip. That will be bullish. But then if it's at 4.5 and then it comes in at 4.55, then that's a bad auction. That means the yield went up because there wasn't enough demand. That's why it's bad. That's why if the yield goes lower after the auction, that means there was enough demand. But now here's the deal. Are you ready? The problem with today's auction is that you are in a very unnatural scenario. Very few, if at all, has the bond market ever moved like this coming into today. And that's why today is so important, because now people are worried about liquidity, amongst many other things. And there's an idea that maybe bond money doesn't show up today. Yo, Baidu and China, they all just woke up. So this is where it gets crazy today, because quite frankly, we are on lookout if nobody shows up to the auction. That's the crazy part. So I just told you a good auction, a bad auction, all of that, right? That's just like the basics. But today is very unique, because if that auction is bad and money doesn't show up, people might fucking panic. I really, really hope you understand that. You might actually panic, because that means nobody's buying bonds right now. They would rather hold cash. There's something wrong. So if the number, I believe it's either nobody, like literally, it's either the dealers are going to buy everything, or quite frankly, if you go above 50%. So you're going to hear dealer takedown, dealer metric. If that number is higher than 60, you can essentially assume that it was a failed auction. I haven't talked about this in a long time. I can't even remember the last time we had to talk about a failed bond auction. I think we did one time live on stream. I want to say this was during 2020. This is close to 2018. This is kind of like the repo crisis, but this one's just a lot different. That's why I'm saying there's a little bit of this that ties into it, but I've never seen this. Most people haven't. Italy seeking 1 billion euros from fintech tax evasion probe. But like I'm saying here, the risk is that we get a failed auction today. Like, again, you guys are like, oh, TLT's getting blown up. Oh, TLT. It's like, no, bro. TLT's like breaking. Your bond market right now is flashing that something is fucked up. So now if you have a bond auction and nobody shows up to buy it, yeah, that's gonna push it over the edge probably. And then we have to deal with a whole nother animal. So yeah, that's why if today's auction fails, we have a really big problem. If it doesn't fail, then just add to confusion. And then we'll see if it's good or bad. But if it comes in slightly good, I still think people will be confused. Majority of Senate backs Governor Mike Huckabee as ambassador to Israel. If they didn't show up, that would support some of the theories of China and other countries. It would support the theory of lack of confidence in the United States, and it would just generally show that people are uncertain at bare minimum. At bare minimum, you don't buy the auction if you think there's going to be a wild fluctuation. Quite frankly, I wouldn't buy the auction today. Why? Because I'm telling you something's fucked up with bonds. I think the value is either 20% higher or 20% lower from here. That's the crazy part. So I wouldn't buy the auction just out of uncertainty. Because if you're going to buy right now at 4 or 5, that's what I was saying yesterday. Because I'm like, the bond market is very certain. Everybody, even if you're saying the stagflation, yesterday was saying 4.8 to 4.5. Now it's saying 5 to 5.5. Now it's starting to say some other stuff, but that's where I'm like, wait a minute. I don't know if you could be that certain right now. And I think that's a little concerning. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense not to buy today. Unless you know what's going to happen. Do you know? That's why unless you have more clarity, or your business, your country, somebody could buy today as a show of good faith. If a foreign wants to come in, like Japan, and they could buy up all of this shit. And they're, like I'm saying, people will be confused. But point is just like, if you're about to spend billions of dollars right now on fixed income, how certain are you about what you're buying right now? Because even if these motherfuckers are telling me inflation is going to surge, why would you want a 4 or 5 yield? Give me 6. It still doesn't make, so we'll see. But I think today is just going to be interesting. Yeah, we got 30 seconds. So get ready. I will put the wire up for you. And then get your membership, because after the auction, I'm leaving. So, yeah, do what you need to do. But you'll see it on here. We'll get the when issued. And then after that, you're going to, on the wire, you'll see the number. And then you compare that to the when issued. So good luck. Okay, 10 seconds, we'll get a number. Maybe like 30 seconds. The Fed they can't buy. They're not allowed to. That's why I'm saying the banks will buy it. They're allowed to. The dealer can take the auction. But if the dealer takes down the auction, then we failed. That's what I'm saying. That's why it's kind of crazy. But the Fed cannot step in today. There's no way. That's why the Fed has to do it informally or formally by either words or a rate cut. They cannot step in. This is just pure market, banks, and foreigners. Okay, 4.465. That's the number. 4.465. I'm typing that in the chat. So now give it 2 minutes. You're going to see a number on the wire, and now compare it to that 4.465. So if that number comes in higher, we're going to blow out. Everyone's going to sell, especially if it's a failure. And then if that comes in lower, I think you're going to get a massive relief rally, at least on bonds for a little bit. Hear me out right now. If that number comes in lower and TLT bounces, Do not make the mistake of thinking that it will follow through. Are you hearing me right now? So don't get overly excited by a good auction. I still think a good auction will be confusing. Don't get tricked. All right, about 30 seconds. 4.465 is our number. It could come in higher. If it fails, it's going to blow. Just get ready. It'll come across here. All right, 4.8. Yeah, watch the end too. That's a great idea. 4.465. TLT will probably jump before it hits the wire. Oh. 4, 3, 2. Okay, any second now. Yep. 4.435. Fuck out of here. They just bought the shit out of it, bro. Yep. Let me get the dealer number. Nope. That's running, baby. Yep. Again, what did I tell you in the first part, though? Make no mistake. Bro, they just took down that shit. Perfect. Okay. I'm grabbing a cheap one. Let me get the details. Look for the dealer number. That's why you're fucking running right now. That's it. Ooh. Damn, they already slashed some of those. Okay. I'm going to get those details in a second. It was a great auction, though. That's it. Do you see what I'm telling you, though? All you did was dodge a bullet, bro. That's it. That's all you did. All you did was dodge the bullet, but do you see how it's still confusing? The market is still in tantrum mode. Make no mistake. That just now bought Powell an extra week or so, give or take. Wait for it. Okay. If you get above the second half, the calls will go crazy. The first set, they already moved up 30%, like just from like the cheap ones. But wait, like I'm saying, I don't think it's going to have follow through, but I'm watching the premiums. No, it's good though, but do you see what just happened though? Think about what just happened. Imagine that explanation I gave you, and I was just telling you, this thing could have failed. You could have just had a very, very black swan event, and then that's it. It just didn't happen. That's all. That's all. So you just dodged the bullet. It's like an asteroid was about to hit you, but you just moved all like it just grazed us. That you didn't come in contact with it. I'm waiting. Kash Patel removed as U.S. ATF director. This counters the current narrative. It does. A little bit. It at least shows that somebody was buying bonds. I'm waiting for the full details. I have a algo that will get it for. You could pull them out now. I just want the dealer takedown number. Somebody already has it. But watch out. Now watch. If this goes up, the next set of plays will start to move on TLT. But this has to hold. But SPY's going to like it now until the bad set of trade news. I hope you understand that. Like I was telling you prior, if we dodge the bullet, still be a little confusing, and then market's going to run until next set of trade headlines. I hope you understand that. Yeah, Ira Jersey Live. Let's listen to that, and then get your membership, because we're going to move on over here to, what's it called? We're going to move on to Philo. But yeah, I gave you the info. I think I did a good job there. So there you go. Yeah, wait for Santelli. I'll get more details in a second. Trump threatens to scrap consultancy contracts after insulting proposals. Oh, wait, I have it, yeah. So, like, primary dealers. What? What? Dude, I don't believe it. No, bro. No. It doesn't, bro. Primary dealers take 10% of the auction. The fuck you mean? So remember I was telling you, if they take 50, 60, that's a failure. So dude, no, but that's not that bad. I'm saying that means somebody, you had demand, but where the fuck did that come from, essentially? In the midst of this fucking liquidity drain, is very, very curious. 100% on the stream alert spot call, baby. Oh, I know. The RH, bro, those have been hitting. I'm going to take them if I don't miss the first pop. Those have hit. Hey, man. It could be Japan. Like I said, somebody might show up as like a sign of good faith, but that's funny. So look, it's already, like I told you guys, this is still, I think the market's fully in tantrum because you just got a good auction. You just avoided the bad narrative. Market reacts a little bit, then all of a sudden we just come right back down. Market doesn't give a fuck. That's what I was telling you. As long as you're out, that's it. Santelli gave it an A. Let's see.
9-year, 10-month. And about
that's
4
what I said,
weeks
bro, that's
from today,
shocking.
We'll have a brand new 10. And the reason I bring this up is the existing issue is more of a shock absorber to anything out of the ordinary than a normal primary first-time offering. Now, having said that, this was a stellar auction, a solid A. The when issued market was trading about 3 basis points higher than the auction went off, and the yield at the auction is 4.435. So we stopped through like 3 basis points. That's aggressive pricing. Part of that, of course, is the wild ranges that we've had, low to high, what we were doing overnight. But an even bigger issue may be that maybe there are some investors that are keeping a level head that are using the big moves
somebody
to
bought
the
that
upside,
shit,
price
bro.
to the downside as a sort of
that's what I'm telling you. I'm like, where the fuck did that demand come from?
Cushion to purchase during the auction versus maybe waiting in the secondary market. And ultimately, there's a lot of things going on that you all are going to continue to talk about. But I would like to say, after all my years since the early 80s, observing markets, whether it was the 87 crash, long-term capital, Thai baht, all the different crises we've seen, you know, it becomes an issue versus liquidity issues versus liquidity problems. And I still think we're in the first camp. I never ignore all the signs because the big deal would be if this becomes more than a liquidation. I mean, don't forget, folks,
that's what I was telling you guys. If this failed, everyone, it takes us to another level. Now it didn't fail, but now, again, in a world where everybody's telling you don't buy the bonds, who the fuck just bought that?
Flight to safety trade is going through an unwind process in a much thinner market where many are sitting on their hands. And that's what I'm hearing from my sources. Back to you.
I'll pose this question to the whole panel, but want to give you a stab at it first. Of the kind of 3 reasons why we could be seeing yields sell off so much, it could be the Chinese are actively doing it, dumping treasuries, trying to make a point.
The indirects, you can't tell. You can't tell who did it.
Or it could be kind of financial firms caught on the wrong side of this and effectively blowing up and having to reposition.
Could be Buffett. I don't know.
What are you hearing is the reason for this major sell-off?
It's just a reversal of a trade, in my opinion. And all the other issues can be real.
Smart man.
The China issue, listen, I don't mean to insult anybody, and I don't get direct calls to G, but I think that's the least possible at the moment. I think it is an inflationary issue.
I don't want to insult anybody.
Quite
fuck
nicely
them.
with regard to the Fed being taken out, but I really do truly think it's reversals of trades and
so I'm saying it's bigger than all of this shit, bro.
Everyone else's point
it was
of view,
too
Rick,
weird,
Jim,
but this
starting with you.
We dodged the bullet today.
Is it an inflation issue? Because here's the weird thing. I don't know if we have these charts ready. If you look at 5-year, 10-year break even, like the 10-year tips have backed up, but it kind of makes sense because all 10-year yields have backed up. So there's some inflation pricing there. There's not a lot more that's showing up in the break evens. There's the 5-year. I mean, you'd have to squint real close
flush.
to see that last wiggle up there on the screen.
Yo, BAH.
Take a look at the 2-year break even. It's going straight up because of tariffs. It's tariff-driven inflation.
Booz Allen. I don't know if this has to do with the defense.
Oh, I'm sympathetic to this point, but why is the curve?
Bro, we got too focused on the bond auction, although I think it was worth it. But Booz Allen, remember that headline I read you on the consulting? Yeah, they literally they just gapped down. Yeah. That was the headline for it. So we had that fucking we had it on the first candle. Damn. But yeah, this bond auction, we just dodged a bullet. So, but like I told you, do you guys think, you don't think that's interesting? that I told you that we just dodged the bullet, but I also told you don't fall for the pump fake? How did I know it was going to pump fake? It's because the market doesn't make sense right now and everybody's still in a tantrum. That's exactly why you're back to fucking normal after you just dodged all of that and people are fucking baffled with what led us into here all the way down to the results now. Yeah, bro. So like I'm saying, that it's still odd. We need to wait for the next set. But you just dodged the bullet, which is good because that would have added another chapter to what's going on in bonds. But now we just wait for the trade, but it's still in tantrum mode, my friends. No, that didn't change anything. Because, again, if it was bad, everybody would have jumped on it and reacted to it. Now it's not that bad. Everybody reacts for a second and then goes back to whatever else they wanted. Just like the non-farms, the CPI, and everything else. There is another auction, but this was the one. This was the 10-year. This was the bread and butter right now. There is another auction tomorrow, and we'll see. But for now, that was, like I said, at least you dodged that bullet. Biggest intraday gain since 2020. Yeah. I sold out early in the morning. I had 30%. I sold out around here. It was just because my contract expires on Friday, so I don't want to get trapped. Walmart says we have not canceled any orders yet from China, India, and Mexico. All right. Well, not bad. Oh, yeah, you do have the Fed minutes now. That is next. Well, Chattadonia. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, Booz Allen, that was the other contract, the consultancy one. But it is time to move to Philo, my friends. So thank you for all the memberships. Like I told you, you will need them later today, and that moment is now here. So thank you all. I will see you around Power Hour, and the long term will still prevail. I know, it's wild. Save that money, baby. Save that money. So get your membership if you want to be there. Other than that, I will see you guys at Power Hour. So good luck, and God bless America, and thank you to the veterans. I'll see you there. Fed Barkin comments coming out now. And then White House to appeal ruling lifting access restrictions on Associated Press. Woo! All right, y'all. See you on a little bit.